Hey guys, Chaos Shinobi here. This is a story where Naruto combines the Sharingan and the Byakugan into one dojutsu, making it the strongest of all time above the Rinnegan. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. He woke up. Looking around him he could see nothing, it was completely black. But he could tell that he must be in some kind of tunnel or cave because he could feel the uneven stone floor under his back. It wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world. He vaguely remembered being in some sort of liquid. It was green and he could see people moving around in front of him, but apparently outside of the liquid then something was dropped into the water and another liquid rose up from the bottom of tank. This one was blue and a lot warmer than the green one that just seemed to vanish as the exothermic reaction took place. He couldn't remember what happened after that till he woke up without a clue as to where he was. "Alright kid, time to find out where the hell we are," said a voice in his head. "Oh really? And how exactly do you propose to do that?" he replied. "Simple really. I'm going to give you a new set of eyes," the voice said matter-of-factly. "Huh? How the hell can you do that?" he asked, surprise apparent in his voice. "I can do many things that would normally be impossible. I'm the reason you've not died yet," replied the voice. "Even so, I thought you had to have Kekkai Genkai to begin with." He was curious and annoyed now. He knew he didn't have a bloodline and he was pretty sure that without one this being talking to him from within his own head could do nothing. "Ah, but that's where you are wrong," said the voice, sounding slightly cocky, having apparently just read his thoughts. "You already have a Kekkai Genkai and one of the strongest bloodlines around. But with no one to teach you how to activate it or use it, it just lay dormant. Now I'm going to teach you to activate and use it, but first I'm going to make it even more powerful. If you thought that the Byakugan or the Sharingan were strong, yours will make them seem no better than normal eyesight in comparison," said the voice. "Okay then, so what is my natural bloodline then?" he asked the voice. "Fuengan, it's a powerful combination of Byakugan, Sharingan and a few other things. One is a kind of genjutsu, another is in a class of its own, and the rest I can't remember right now. Now to give you a small history lesson before you bombard me with questions, your clan dates back over 3,000 years and was one of the first to have a Kekkai Genkai. Both the Hyugas and the Uchihas are descended from your clan, although both clans know it and would never admit it, and they each only gained a fraction of the full power. In order for the Hyugas to maintain theirs, their eyes had to change and loose their pupils. The power the Uchihas took didn't need to the eyes to change too much but had one slight drawback. Because of the level of power the eyes possessed, they had to create a way of blocking the power so that only when a person was capable of handling the eyes up to that point could access that power. But your clan again had a slight difference. The chakra reserves at any given age were at least 3 times that of normal shinobi at a similar age, so your clan never needed any control measures put in place. But it did have one problem: it could only use one of its abilities at a time. "Now then, first things first, I'm going to activate your Kekkai Genkai," said the voice. His eyes felt strange as chakra surged into them, opening the gates to pathways he hadn't used before. "Right now that's done. Next is to explain the other skills of your eyes. You know what ultraviolet light is and infrared light? Your eyes can see both of these and also have the ability to see in any level of light, even total darkness. The genjutsu ability will create 2 kinds. The first is similar to standard genjutsu but is a minimum of 5 layers deep right now, but with time and practice more, and the second creates a single layer far more real and far harder to break than standard genjutsu. With time, the number of layers you can put into it can be increased, but each extra layer means using the same amount of chakra again, so 2 layers would double the normal chakra used, 3 would treble it, and 4 would quadruple it, and so on for each extra layer. And for my gift, as I told you, your abilities can normally only be used one at a time, but I'm about to change that. You will now be able to use one of each of your abilities at the same time. So for example, you could use Sharingan Byakugan, a 5-layer genjutsu, and night vision at the same time, but you couldn't use night vision and ultraviolet vision at the same time," said the voice. "Well, that's all good and well, but the hell do I actually get the abilities to work?" he asked. "You make it sound so hard when it's ever so simple. Just think about the ability or abilities you want to activate and focus chakra into your eyes. Once your eyes are active, they will stay active and change what they are doing with a mere thought until you either run out of chakra or deliberately turn them off. Unlike the Sharingan and Byakugan, they will stay active even whilst you are unconscious, and if you are knocked out at the same time as you loose the last of your chakra, they will automatically reactivate when you have enough chakra stored up. Now give it a try," the voice said. He carefully focused the chakra into his eyes and focused on activating the Byakugan and the night vision. Suddenly the world around him lit up as though there were lights everywhere, and he found he could see in a dome around him. It was strange for him to not only be able to see straight ahead but behind, above, to both sides and below himself as well. "Now I have 2 more small gifts for you. The first is hearing, more sensitive than most animals, and the second is a sense of smell on the same level. These should make your life a lot easier," it said. He looked around and could see he was in some sort of cave but couldn't find any way to get out. As far as he could see, the cave just stretched on and on in both directions with neither turns nor ends. "Okay, you seem to be struggling a bit here, kids, so listen to me. Focus on what you can hear," the voice said calmly. He did so and could hear the wind moving through the cave even though he couldn't feel it. It was going from in front of him to behind him. "There you go, kid. Now you know which way to go to get out," the voice said. He started walking forwards, avoiding the various stalagmites that he would have walked into if not for his newly awakened abilities. Slowly but surely he made his way to the end of the cave and out into the early dawn that awaited him outside. He found himself standing on the top of the Hokage monument but towards the back of it, out of sight of the village itself. He turned off his night vision and then looked down at his clothes. They weren't his normal orange jumpsuit, but instead he had baggy black jeans and a black t-shirt with black boots on his feet. "Any idea what happened to me?" he asked the voice. "Yeah, you and the rest of your team went on a mission, but unfortunately it would seem that it was a trap to get you. They took out your team and left them there. Near as I could tell, they were all alive, just badly beaten and unconscious. Then they took you to some underground lab. I have no idea where. They did something to you, but I can't tell what, or if it was just one thing or many. Beyond that, I don't know. I certainly have no idea how we ended up in that cave," the voice replied. "I hope the rest of my team made it back and are okay," he said. "I guess there's only one way to find out," he said out loud, and started walking up to the top of the monument and towards the village of Konoha. As he reached the top and looked over as an explosion happened at the wall a short distance away from the main gate, he quickly started running towards it. As he ran down one of the streets, Shikamaru appeared out of a side street and nearly fell over, just catching himself and carrying on running when he saw him. "Hey Naruto, where have you been? You were listed MIA 2 weeks ago," said Shikamaru, running alongside him. "No time to explain right now, we gotta find out what caused that explosion," he replied. As they arrived at the place, they saw that the wall had a hole blown into it and Sound Ninja were pouring through the opening. Other Leaf Ninja had already arrived and had begun to engage the Sound Ninja. Upon seeing the two young genin, one of the Sound Ninja ran at them from the side, but Naruto's Fuengen was still active and he saw the ninja come at him. He bit his left thumb and pressed it onto his right forearm. A summoning seal appeared on his arm and a kunai appeared. He quickly grabbed the kunai in his left hand and threw it at the approaching ninja. The ninja had been so sure that he hadn't been seen that he was surprised to see a kunai flying at him and couldn't react to dodge it. It struck him square in the forehead, just below his forehead protector, and killed him instantly. Naruto figured it best not to ask how he could do it in the middle of a fight and instead just activated the Sharingan part of his eyes and began to summon more kunai from his arms, quickly firing them at Sound Ninja, both engaged in combat with Leaf Ninja and those still coming through. "Shikamaru!" Naruto shouted. "What now?" asked Shikamaru in his usual bored voice. "Is Sasuke in Konoha?" Naruto asked whilst throwing a kunai at a Sound Ninja that was trying to sneak up behind him and hitting him square in the groin with it. "Yeah, why?" asked Shikamaru, apparently a bit curious now. "Good," Naruto said. He then formed 8 hand signs in rapid succession and slammed his palm onto the floor. A summoning circle shot out from around his palm. As the smoke cleared, an 8-foot-tall fox with 4 tails slowly came into view. "Help the Leaf Ninja. I need to find someone," he said to the fox. "Sure, this looks like fun," said the fox. It appeared to have a sadistic grin on its face. "Shikamaru, come on. I need to find Sasuke," shouted Naruto, running off. Shikamaru quickly followed. "What a drag. I'd rather be in bed," said Shikamaru under his breath. "You did that, didn't you?" said Naruto. "Of course, just another little gift from me. Saves summoning those damn toads. They don't listen to you half the time anyway," replied the voice. "Okay, I'll give you that one. Now, any guesses on the best way to find Sasuke?" he asked. "He's the one that's got the Sharingan, isn't he?" asked the voice. "Yeah, why?" Naruto was a little confused as to why they wanted to know. "Okay, that makes life easier. There's one more ability your eyes have. By focusing hard on the kind of Kekii Genkai that's descended from yours, you want to find, your eyes can lock onto and track each and every person around. They can also point you in the direction of the nearest person with that Kekii Genkai. With time, you'll be able to locate any type of Kekii Genkai this way, but it takes practice to find them. But your blood already knows about those descended from it, so it can find them easily," replied the voice. "All right, thanks for all your help. Planning on giving me more in the future, or is it a one-day special?" asked Naruto. "I'll see," replied the voice. Naruto stopped suddenly, to Shikamaru's surprise. "Right time to find Sasuke," he said, and closing his eyes started to focus. Suddenly his eyes flew open. "This way," he said, running down a side alley. "How in the hell does he suddenly know where he is? Oh well, I better follow him," Shikamaru muttered as he ran after Naruto. As he was running up to an alley, his eyes caught sight of Niji Hyuga round the corner, and he shouted, "Niji, come on, we're gonna need all the help we can get." Both Niji and Shikamaru were stunned. They couldn't work out how he had seen Niji, but dismissing it for the time being, they both followed him as he ran through the streets, twisting and turning. He followed the signals that his eyes gave him, turning left then right then left again. As he got closer, the signal his eyes gave him started angling upwards, so he jumped, He could see Niji and Shikamaru apparently very surprised at his actions, but they followed nonetheless. Once on the rooftops, his eyes seemed to lock onto someone moving off in the distance. He quickly jumped from rooftop to rooftop, moving on an intercept course with Niji and Shikamaru following along, completely dumbfounded as to how Naruto seemed to know exactly where to go. Naruto quickly jumped from rooftop to rooftop, continually gaining on Sasuke. After around a minute, he shouted, "Sasuke, over here!" Sasuke quickly turned and headed towards Naruto. As soon as he arrived, he noticed a difference in Naruto's eyes. "Naruto, what's happened to your eyes? They look like a cross between a strange version of Sharingan, a weird Byakugan, and something else that I've never seen before," said Sasuke. "I'm not surprised. My Kekkai Genkai has been activated," replied Naruto. "Okay, but why does it look like it's got Byakugan and Sharingan mixed together?" asked Niji. "Well, that would be because it does. It's the Kekkai Genkai that both Sharingan and Byakugan descended from. I can probably teach you both to access the most powerful parts of your Kekkai Genkai," replied Naruto. "What are you on about, Naruto? There is no more power in the Byakugan," said Niji. "And the extra power in the Sharingan can only be unlocked when you have enough chakra to do so," continued Sasuke. "Okay then, if you don't believe me, Sasuke, look into my eyes and I'll activate the next stage for you right now," said Naruto. "Fine, let's see if you can," replied Sasuke, looking into Naruto's eyes. As he did, Naruto's eyes started to glow, then his felt strange. He blinked, and when he opened his eyes again, the world around him seemed to have slowed down as though his Sharingan was active, but he couldn't feel any chakra being used by his eyes. "It's done," said Naruto, looking away. "Okay, that's different," said Shikamaru. "What's different?" asked Sasuke. "Your eyes, instead of the tailed balls of your normal Sharingan, they're like fishing hooks." "3 of them," said Shikamaru. "Your normal Sharingan won't take anywhere near as much chakra to use its abilities, and you've gotten a few new tricks with the Mangekyo Sharingan. I'll activate the next stage when you've gotten used to that one. Now then, Niji, how about I activate your latent abilities?" said Naruto, moving his attention from Sasuke to Niji. "You can try, but like I said, there's nothing there," replied Niji, his tone arrogant and as though he knew everything that would ever be need to be known. "All right then, look into my eyes," said Naruto, focusing his eyes on Niji. Niji followed suit, focusing his eyes on Naruto's, which had started to glow again. Niji could feel the chakra behind his eyes creating new pathways, and it felt as though his eyes were changing too. Shikamaru watched amazed. First, Naruto had activated a Kekkai Genkai that he hadn't even heard of. Then he'd advanced Sasuke's Sharingan, and now he could see Niji's eyes develop pupils right in front of his own. They seemed to be changing to be more like normal eyes, but still kept a look of having had Byakugan. They also seemed to take on a slight orange hue to the irises. "Well, Niji, I think you can be pretty sure he's done something to them. By the look on your face, I'd say your Byakugan is still active and working fine, but your eyes now look more like normal eyes," he said. "There's more than that. You can see objects that are moving too fast for human eyes to see now, and you can also have night vision and can see in infrared," said Naruto. "Oh, and how exactly would I do that?" asked Niji. "Simple, the fast vision will activate with your Byakugan, and to activate either the night vision or infrared vision, all you have to do is think about which one you want to activate and focus some chakra into your eyes and it'll activate. Once active, you can switch between the two just by thinking about it," said Naruto. "Okay, now that that's all sorted, why did we need Sasuke and what are you planning to do?" asked Shikamaru. "Well, I'm guessing the second part of the final stage of the Chunin exams went ahead as planned," said Naruto. "No, they didn't. Sasuke was given time to recover after the beating he took. The water shinobi that was left was called home because her father had just died, so she was given time to grieve. And with you MIA, Niji asked Haishir Hyuga to see if he could get them postponed because he wants to prove to you that you're a failure, so they've been put back 3 weeks. But it would seem that Orochimaru decided he wasn't going to wait," said Shikamaru. "Double perfect. Okay, Sasuke. Niji, it's time for you to put your new skills to the test. We're going to take down Orochimaru. Shikamaru, can you devise some sort of plan on the way?" said Naruto. "Sure. But I gotta say, I think you're crazy. Taking on Orochimaru ain't gonna be a walk in the park, you know," said Shikamaru. "We'll see, you just come up with a plan," said Naruto. They once again started leaping from rooftop to rooftop, this time in the direction of the Hokage's tower. Both Sasuke and Niji were finding their eyes far more effective at their normal functions, and they had both realized that along with the new abilities they had gained, they also had a small but noticeable increase in their chakra levels. Naruto lead the way. They just landed on a rooftop when 3 Sound Ninja jumped up onto the other side of it. "We don't have time for this," shouted Naruto, continuing to run at the 3 ninja. As he approached, red chakra covered each of his hands and quickly morphed into blades. He put his hands together and they formed a single blade 10 feet long. He brought it down to his right side and swept it round in an arc in front of himself, easily slicing the 3 ninja in half, their bodies quickly falling to the floor with blood spraying everywhere except for some unknown reason the 4 of them. as the chakra blade dissipated and the four genin ran past the dead sound ninja. That was your doing, wasn't it? Naruto thought. Gee, you think, the voice said sarcastically. Like you said, you don't have time for that sort of thing, so for now, I'll just take control of your arms and use my chakra to solve these little problems. I'll teach you the techniques I use and a few extras either later today or tomorrow. We don't have time for it now, it said. Fair enough. By the way, is there anything more about my Kekii Genkai that would help? Asked Naruto. Now that you mention it, I think there is, but I can't quite remember. I'll let you know as soon as I can, said the voice. Okay, now to kick Orochimaru's wimpy ass, replied Naruto. The four genin continued to run at high speed. They could see the Hokage's tower getting closer. After a couple more jumps, they could see a barrier on the top of the Hokage's tower, and after 3 more jumps, they could see several ANBU Black Ops outside it, apparently unable to get in. Great, how are we going to get through that? Asked Shikamaru in his usual droll. I remember one now, kid. You dispel any barrier regardless of type or strength by merely touching it, said the voice. Great. That's just what we needed, thought Naruto. Don't worry, another part of my Kekii Genkai means that I can dispel a barrier of any type or strength by just touching it, he told them. Okay, well I guess that's that problem solved. The best plan of attack is going to be for Sasuke and me to take the back and Naruto and Neji to take the front. Our chance of success is at its best, around 30%, said Shikamaru. Well, you would be right on our previous power levels, but I think our best chance will be with Sasuke and me up front. We can keep him pinned with very powerful Kekii Genkai Genjutsu, and whilst he's stuck, you and Neji can hit him from the back. Our chance of success should be nearer 95%, replied Naruto. Why did I even bother come up with a plan if he wasn't going to bother using it? Then again, like he said, I am basing it on what the 3 of them were capable of, not what they are capable of, muttered Shikamaru to himself. Naruto, what are you on about? I don't have a Kekii Genkai Genjutsu, said Sasuke, quite confused by Naruto's statement. Trust me, Sasuke, you do now, and when the time comes you'll know exactly how to use. I'll use mine first and trap him, then you'll be able to use yours without him even trying to fight it, said Naruto as they landed on top of the Hokage's tower and one of the ANBU turned round to look at them. What are you genin doing here? You're no match for Orochimaru, particularly not you Sasuke Uchiha, as you're the one he's after, said the ANBU wearing an owl mask. Do you want in the barrier to get the Hokage out or not? And I do mean get him out, not fight alongside him? Asked Naruto. We certainly want in the barrier. Why? Asked the ANBU. Then get out the way and leave this to us, said Naruto. The ANBU quickly moved aside. They planned to let them open the barrier. If they could, then they'd knock them out and one of them would take them to safety. Naruto, Sasuke, Neji, and Shikamaru walked up to the barrier. Then Sasuke, Neji, and Shikamaru stopped just in front of it and Naruto carried on. As soon as it seemed like he was going to hit the barrier face first, the barrier dissipated and he walked on into the second barrier, and to the surprise of the 4 ANBU, as soon as he hit the barrier it dissipated and all 4 of the genin disappeared. They quickly hurried inside to look for the Hokage. Naruto appeared in front of the Hokage, standing between him and Orochimaru. It's time you left, Lord Hokage. We'll handle this guy, said Naruto. How can you? He's one of the Sannin, the best of my former pupils? Asked the Hokage, apparently very worried for the safety of the young boys. Relax, we're far stronger than we used to be, said Naruto, looking over his shoulder to smile at the Hokage. It was then that the Hokage saw Naruto's eyes and the change they had undergone and the realization that the most powerful Kekii Genkai was once again active and under the control of a loyal member of the Hidden Leaf Village. All right, Naruto, he's all yours. Make him pay for his crimes, said the Hokage, feeling very proud of the young man standing in front of him. After this was done, he would make sure the village knew of his bravery and his Kekii Genkai, the most powerful to have ever come out of the village hidden in the leaves. The Fuengen. You got it, Hokage, now get clear, said Naruto. Oh, Sarutobi-sensei, you aren't leaving the party already, are you? Asked Orochimaru, his voice light and playful, as though he was inviting the man he was trying to kill back into a birthday party or a disco. Yes, I am Orochimaru, you're gonna have your hands full anyway. You remember the 9-tailed fox, don't you? Naruto here is the one that it was sealed in, and he's an Uzumaki. You remember their Kekii Genkai, don't you? The Fuengen. Well, I suggest you take a good look at his eyes, and of course you know the Sharingan possessed by Sasuke and the Byakugan possessed by Neji Hyuga over there, and of course you should be able to tell a Nara like Shikamaru just by his looks, replied the Hokage with a smile on his face that grew each time he relayed more information to his former pupil, and watched his face drop further with each and every piece he heard. No, this can't be. These clans shouldn't even be able to stand being near each other, never mind fight together, said Orochimaru, a look of pure terror on his face. We'll do more than just fight together. We'll fight as a team. We aren't just a few ninja from different clans. We're friends first and foremost, said Naruto, a wide grin on his face. No, that's impossible. The Uchiha and Hyuga elders should have prevented it, cried Orochimaru, despairing more and more with each time he was told something that would never have happened before. I'm one of only 2 remaining Uchihas, and I intend to kill Itachi for wiping out the rest of the clan, said Sasuke. Like I'd listened to the elders of the main household. They're the reason my father is dead, said Neji. What can I say? These guys are worth the effort because I know they'd put it in for me, said Shikamaru, a rare smile gracing his lips. And I'm guessing you already know, but just in case you don't, I grew up an orphan, outcast by the village. These guys knew me before knowing about the fox, and they know that the fox doesn't control me, so even now that they know, they don't care and are still my friends. As for my clan's problems with other clans, I couldn't care less. We intend to forge a new future with those problems left in the past, said Naruto, slowly starting to build up his chakra. Hey, how about lending me some chakra to give this guy more layers of realistic genjutsu than he ever imagined normal genjutsu could have? Naruto asked. Now that sounds like fun. Sure thing, take as much as you need, replied the voice. Alright, thanks, Naruto thought, and then started to draw out the chakra and mix it with his own. Then he quickly started focusing the chakra into his eyes, Fuengan style. Visual jutsu power hunger, Naruto shouted whilst giving a look that seemed to bore into his very soul to Orochimaru. But to Orochimaru nothing seemed to happen. Either this is excellent genjutsu or you just failed miserably, Orochimaru chuckled. Arg, why didn't it work, Naruto said. Well maybe it did, so just in case I think I'll dispel it, said Orochimaru, putting his hands together to form the genjutsu dispel seal and activating it. The world went black for a moment, then the world reappeared again. Well, it looks like you managed to break the genjutsu, so we're just going to have to take you head on, said the Naruto standing in front of him. Meanwhile, okay Sasuke, get ready, he's broken the first layer of my genjutsu and thinks he's free and clear, said Naruto. They were still standing in the same places they had been in. Orochimaru hadn't actually moved a muscle even to talk. What on earth do you mean, Naruto? Asked Neji. The genjutsu created by Fuengan is so powerful that it creates the illusion purely in the victim's head. As far as Orochimaru believes he's fighting us right now, he's dispelled the first layer and it's taken quite a bit out of him, but he's still got 4 layers to go before he can get out, and each time he's going to need more energy because the fights he'd have would be harder each time, so it gets more and more realistic. But we aren't going to give him that chance. We're about to use the Mangekyo Sharingan that Sasuke has. That'll trap him in a 5th layer of genjutsu again, but it will be fully real to him and Sasuke will have full control of it. And in the meantime, Neji is going to close most of his chakra points, as to date I'm the only one that's been able to reopen them. I doubt he will. And Shikamaru will grab him with his shadow and hold him in place whilst we bind him in place. Once that's done, Sasuke's genjutsu can be deactivated, and by the time he gets out of the final of my genjutsu he'll be nearly dead. That is of course assuming he does, said Naruto. Alright, Sasuke, go ahead and start. But Naruto, when the hell did you become able to make such a plan with such speed? Asked a very surprised Shikamaru. No idea. I don't have any idea what happened to me in the 2 weeks I've been gone. All I do know is that the 9-tailed fox ain't gonna let me be controlled unless he's the one doing the controlling, which he doesn't seem inclined to do anymore, so whatever they did is only gonna be of benefit to me, replied Naruto. Okay, replied Shikamaru as Sasuke began channeling chakra into his eyes for his genjutsu, and Naruto altered his genjutsu so that Sasuke appeared in front of Orochimaru in it. Then Sasuke activated his Mangekyo Sharingan and Orochimaru was caught in the genjutsu. Alright, now Neji, start cutting off his chakra, said Naruto when he knew that Orochimaru was being pounded to hell in Sasuke's genjutsu. Alright, here I go, 8 trigrams, 128 palms, said Neji, then beginning to quickly and accurately slam into 128 of Orochimaru's chakra points, instantly closing each of them, and just as Sasuke finished his genjutsu, Neji finished his attack and Orochimaru fell limp on the floor, exhausted mentally and physically unable to move. Well, it would seem that you've teamed up rather well to take me out, and your genjutsu worked so well I couldn't even tell it was genjutsu. But do you really think that blocking the chakra points would stop a Sannin? Never mind me. Orochimaru started building up the chakra and tried to push it out only to find that he couldn't. What have you done to me? He screamed. Just closed off the chakra points around your chakra center so it can't build up enough momentum to break through. The only one who can open them after I've done that is Naruto by using the 9-tailed fox's chakra to overfill his chakra center, forcing them open, said Neji matter-of-factly. /N. Neji and Naruto decided to have a sparring match before he went missing, so they could see who was likely to lose in the Chunin exams. It ended in a draw. No, how could you have done that? It's impossible, screamed Orochimaru. Oh, by the way, you're still in a genjutsu, only now you can't dispel it, and slowly but surely your body will die whilst you can do nothing to stop it. Your arms are already gone and your legs will follow shortly, said Naruto. Oh really? Well, I hate to disappoint you there because as long as I'm still conscious I can still dispel genjutsu, said Orochimaru, doing so as he said this. to realize that now Naruto was actually standing over him holding a kunai to his throat. But just before Naruto could deliver the final blow, the sound for and Kabuto appeared, knocking Naruto away. The sound for each squaring of against one of the Konoha ninja, whilst Kabuto picked up Orochimaru, and then all four of them disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Damn. We lost him, said Shikamaru, running forwards into the smoke to look for them. Don't worry about it. His arms are useless now, and it will be quite a while before Kabuto can reopen his chakra points. And that is going to hurt like hell, said Neji. Just then a huge raccoon appeared a short distance from the village limits outside the walls. Looks like I've still got something to take care of, said Naruto with a smile. Then he started jumping away in its direction. It's Shikaku, used to wreck a village or two a year alongside him about a century before I ended up in you, replied the voice. Why did you stop? Asked Naruto. He's hardly more than an animal. I really couldn't abide being around him, replied the voice. They were heading for the demon with Sasuke, Neji, and Shikamaru. Okay. Well, any tips on beating him? Asked Naruto. Actually, yes, summon Arasu, he should take him out without a problem. Then I'll teach you a jutsu to seal Shikaku completely, freeing the host from his influence, said the voice. Sounds good to me, but why are you doing all this? Asked Naruto. For this particular one, it's because I don't like Shikaku. As for the rest, whilst you wear out, I did some thinking and decided that since I'm stuck with you, I'd rather not have you below your full potential, replied the voice. Okay, well, thanks, replied Naruto. Sasuke, you can move faster than the rest of us. Move on ahead and try and slow him down, shouted Naruto. Right. Get there as quick as you can, replied Sasuke. When Naruto, Neji, and Shikamaru arrived, they found that Sakura had tried to follow and defeat Gaara but hadn't been very successful. Then when Sasuke had arrived, he tried to help Sakura, but Gaara had been too powerful. My gentle fist attacks won't work against him. His sand creates a barrier that stops them getting through, said Neji. I seriously doubt my shadow will hold him. He has too much power, Shikamaru confirmed. Okay. Well, don't worry about it. Once I've freed Sakura, grab her, Neji. Shikamaru, you grab Sasuke and get them the hell out of here. I can deal with this guy myself, said Naruto as he started to focus his chakra. Alright, good luck, said Shikamaru. Shadow Clone Jutsu, shouted Naruto, and in a puff of smoke 9 more Narutos appeared. Time to take out the trash and free Sakura, said one of the Narutos. With the aid of the demon chakra, the Narutos were too fast for the bulky Shikaku, and it struggled to take down 8, having quickly dispatched one, which also sped to remaining 8 up, whilst the 9th went to Sakura. Don't worry, Sakura, I'll get you out of there, said the real Naruto. Fiend Sleep Jutsu, shouted Gaara, forming a hand seal. What's he doing? Asked Naruto. He's putting himself to sleep so that Shikaku takes over and controls the body, replied the voice. Any ideas? He asked. Leave it to me, I'm going to implant some more knowledge into your mind. This technique will do 2 things. First, it will cut through the sand barrier, and second, it will disrupt the chakra controlling the sand, preventing it from reforming, replied the voice. Naruto quickly performed 5 seals, then his hands glowed yellow and chakra blades formed on the tips of his fingers. He quickly sliced down each side of Sakura, giving plenty of space to make sure he didn't hit her. The sand holding her then fell apart, its chakra disrupted, freeing her. Neji, take her and get back to the village. I can't afford any friendlies, this could get dangerous, said the Naruto. Okay. Come back alive. I still have to beat you in the Chunin exam, Neji joked. We'll see who wins. Now go, said Naruto, dispersing his clones. Neji picked up Sakura and jumped away on the tree branches back to the village. With Neji out of the way, Naruto started building his chakra. Summoning jutsu, he shouted, and a huge 8-tailed fox appeared beneath him. You must be the one that holds the fox god. Very well, I am yours to command, said the fox. Huh? Arasu? That you? Said Shikaku. Yes, it is Shikaku, replied the fox. Awesome, you can help me destroy this place then, said Shikaku. No, that won't be happening, Shikaku. My master here is the container of my god, and this place is his home. It is the will of my god that I serve him in whatever he wishes to do, and his wish is to stop you, so I will stop you, explained the fox. Well, that sucks. Oh well, at least we can have a fun fight and try and draw it out, replied the sand raccoon. Also not gonna happen, this is gonna be quick and boring, replied Arasu. He then quickly charged forwards and sliced Shikaku's side as he passed him. Alright, now, we need to wake the Jinchuriki to seal Shikaku's mind back inside. After that, we need to take down the Jinchuriki to reseal Shikaku within his body, said Arasu. Never mind that, kid, that's the hard way. I'm going to teach you the seal to permanently seal and silence Shikaku away from the Jinchuriki. This seal can be stored in the palm of your hand as a small blue spiral. Then you release it by placing your hand on the Jinchuriki's head and saying seal, that will activate the jutsu. It may take a minute or two for it to work, but you can back off 3 seconds after you've said seal. After that, the jutsu will be in his body and it can't be countered. All that will be left is for the jutsu to take effect, said the voice. Then Naruto found he knew a new set of seals and exactly how to use them. Alright, thanks. Now it's time to take him down, said Naruto quickly, starting the set of 15 hand seals to perform the jutsu. Go for it, kid, said the voice. Then Arasu made another pass of Shikaku, but Naruto couldn't finish the seals in time to jump across, but as the large fox turned round he finished the seals, and a small blue spiral appeared on the back of his right hand to mark that the jutsu was stored and ready for use, and as Arasu passed by the raccoon for the 3rd time, Naruto jumped off and headed straight for Gaara, while Arasu quickly spun and wrapped himself around the raccoon, latching onto his arms to prevent them from getting Naruto, to give him the time he needed for the seal to be implanted into Gaara's body. Seal, shouted Naruto as he landed on Shikaku's head and swiftly placed his hand on Gaara's forehead. He then counted 1, 2, 3 for seconds. Slowly the spiral disappeared from its tip round to the dot at the center, allowing an extra second to make sure. Naruto then jumped back onto Arasu, who then quickly released his grip on the sand raccoon and moved out the way of his swing. What did you do? Cried Shikaku, obviously very panicked and confused by what just happened. Arasu, keep him focused on us. We can't take a chance that he'll figure out what we've done. I want him to think that the technique didn't work. Act as if you're trying to give me another chance to get on and wake Gaara up. Don't get hit, but leave enough so that I shouldn't get the opportunity to jump across, said Naruto to the fox. Okay, this won't be easy, but I'll do what I can, and I do appreciate your concern for my safety, replied the fox as he again charged at the raccoon but moved slightly away as one of the demon's claws swiped at him, avoiding the hit and ensuring that Naruto was unable to jump across to Shikaku's head again. He continued this for around a minute and a half till Shikaku suddenly stopped. Oh, said the giant raccoon as he suddenly disappeared and Gaara fell towards the floor. Naruto quickly jumped off Arasu and caught the still waking up Gaara. Thanks for your help, Arasu, you can go now, said Naruto, laying Gaara on the floor. Thank you. Glad I could help, replied the fox before disappearing in a poof of smoke. Gaara slowly regained consciousness. Arg, what happened? He asked. I resealed Shikaku inside you. You can still access his chakra, but he will no longer be able to influence you. You will be able to sleep soundly from now on, Naruto informed the Sand Ninja. How did you know his name was Shikaku? He doesn't normally tell people his name, asked Gaara. You aren't the only one with a demon sealed inside them, only difference is mine is willing to help me. That's how I knew the seal to stop him affecting you. Add to that you only fight for yourself, you never stood a chance because having something to protect is what truly gives you strength, said Naruto. I'm going to kill you. You haven't beaten me yet, said Gaara, malice apparent in his voice. He then ran forwards and attempted to slash Naruto with a kunai. Yes, I have Gaara, I can still summon Arasu again, and your sand can't do anything because I already know how to beat it. Even if you could do something to me, I will always win in the end because I have people to protect, Naruto said matter-of-factly. Very well, I concede defeat. I cannot match that kind of power, said Gaara, dropping his stance. Good choice. Now come back to Konoha with me, and we'll see about you and your siblings becoming official Konoha shinobi, said Naruto, turning towards Konoha. Alright, that sounds nice, said Gaara, walking up to stand behind Naruto's right shoulder. They then moved off towards Konoha. Naruto and Gaara had picked up Kankuro and Temari on their way back to Konoha through the forest, and they arrived on the wall that surrounded Konoha where Sasuke, Sakura, Shikamaru and Neji were. Upon seeing the 3 sand shinobi, Sasuke, Shikamaru and Neji instantly got into battle stance, Sakura still being unconscious, to which Temari and Kankuro also got into a ready stance. Relax guys, they're going to join Konoha. There's no need to fight, said Naruto, waving his hand. The Konoha ninja remained wary but dropped out of their stances, as did the Sand Ninja. But first things first, said Naruto, picking Sakura up. We need to take Sakura to the hospital. He then jumped off the wall, and the rest of the Leaf and Sand Ninja followed. Okay, now that Sakura is safely in the hospital, we need to get an ANBU member to escort these 3 to the Hokage, said Naruto. He then pulled out a kunai and attached an exploding note to it and threw it into the air. Once it got above the height of the hospital, it exploded. Less than a minute later, 2 ANBU arrived beside them. Take these 3 to the Hokage, they wish to defect to Konoha, said Naruto. One of the ANBU had been one of the 4 on the roof of the Hokage's tower and had witnessed them take on Orochimaru. He decided to argue. Alright, but what are you going to do? He replied. I think I better go and speak with Haishir Hyuga. He isn't going to be happy to hear that his bloodline and the Uchihas are both derivates of the Uzumaki bloodline and weaker ones at that, said Naruto. At this, Neji and Sasuke nodded in agreement. Alright, well, I think I'll go and talk to our senseis and let them know what's happened, said Shikamaru. Very well, we will take these to the Hokage, said the ANBU, and with that they moved off, Shikamaru heading for the front gate to locate their 3 Jonin sensei guy, Asuma and Kakashi, to let them know what happened, and Neji lead Naruto and Sasuke to the Hyuga compound. Shikamaru arrived at the part of the wall that had been blown in. He was met with devastation. All around were the bodies of Sound and Leaf Ninja. Blood was spattered everywhere. Walls were covered, and instead of the ground being its usually yellowish-brown of sand, it was the crimson of blood, completely covered, with bodies pilled on top of each other, and more were being pilled on with each passing moment as the Jonin and Chunin moved the bodies from other places and put them on the largest of the piles that had already formed. Shikamaru ran up to one of the Jonin pilling bodies up near a nearby house. "Hey, have you seen Guy, Kakashi, or Asuma?" he asked the Jonin. "I did see Guy and Kakashi heading for the main gate, but I haven't seen Asuma for a couple of days now," replied the Jonin. Shikamaru thought he looked somewhat like an older version of Kiba, but couldn't be sure. "All right, thanks," Shikamaru said as he started running off in the direction of the main gate. Meanwhile, Neji came the sound of a girl's voice. It was light and soft. Neji, Sasuke, and Naruto stopped on the building they were on but couldn't see where the voice had come from. Then from the side of the building someone jumped up and landed on the roof in front of Neji. The girl had short dark bluish-purple hair. She had on an overly large grayish jacket and black 3/4 length trousers with the dark blue sandals that most ninja wore. "Hinata, what are you doing here?" asked Neji curiously. "I heard someone mention that they'd heard you'd gone after Orochimaru with Sasuke, Naruto, and Shikamaru, so I got a bit worried and came to see if you were all right," she said. It was then that she noticed his eyes. "What happened to your eyes, Neji?" she asked with more than a little concern in her voice. "Yes, we took on Orochimaru and gave him quite the beating. As for my eyes, Naruto did it. His Kekii Genkai has been awakened and it has the ability to unlock the full potential of the Byakugan and the Sharingan. Can you awaken hers as well, Naruto?" said Neji. "Sure. Look into my eyes, Hinata," said Naruto. "Don't faint, he's just going to help you become more powerful." "Oh, I hope he sees how I feel," thought Hinata. Naruto looked into her eyes and started channeling chakra into his own, repeating the same procedure he had done with Neji. "She loves you, kid," came the voice in his head. "How do you know?" asked Naruto, a little miffed, thinking it was just winding him up. "3 things. First, her heart rate skyrocketed the moment she heard your name, and even more when she started looking you in the eye. It's a wonder she's still standing. Second is the scent she gave off as soon as she saw you. She wants you bad. And third, you can see it plain as day in her eyes," said the voice. "Okay, so what should I do about it?" asked Naruto. "Realize how you feel about her. She'd be an excellent mate for you. Once you've realized your feelings for her, everything else should fall into place," replied the voice plainly. "What do you mean, realize how I feel about her? I don't understand," said Naruto, a little confused. "Just search your feelings, you'll see," replied the voice. Naruto started searching his feelings for all the girls in the ninja squads. Sakura. Hot as hell, but she always hit him. Just lust, really, Ino. No way, looks aren't what he likes and she gossips way too much. Everyone would know everything. Hinata. Always shy in the background. Whenever he saw her, she'd be looking at him, and occasionally he'd even found himself trying to catch a glimpse of her. No matter what anyone else said, she always seemed to encourage him and have absolute faith in him that he could never fail. And yes, everyone seemed to be able to get a little stronger when he shouted encouragement to them, but she always seemed to gain far more, as though she just wanted to do the very best she could just for him. Then it seemed to hit him like a sledgehammer to the face. He really cared for her. No, it was more than that even. He wasn't sure, but he thought he might love her, and now he could see it in her eyes. She loved him. "All right, it's done. I'll let Neji explain the new functions of your eyes on the way to the Hyuga compound," said Naruto. But his voice seemed a little different now. There was a feeling in it, but she couldn't quite tell what it was. Then she realized. She could tell what it was, but she couldn't believe it. They carried on jumping across the rooftops. Hinata paid as much attention as she could to Neji. Much as she would have preferred to disappear into her own little world, she knew she needed to know what difference it made to her. And according to Neji, her eyes had also gained pupils and had taken on a light blue hue, not far from the brilliant blue of Naruto's own. Back with Shikamaru. "Gai-sensei, Kakashi-sensei, I have news. Naruto is back, and it would seem he has a Kekii Genkai now, and it's fully awakened," said Shikamaru, running up to the 2 Jonin standing by the main gate. "You're telling us the Fuengan is once again active?" asked Kakashi in a plain voice, but his eyes showed his happiness both at Naruto's return and that he'd managed to activate his Kekii Genkai. "Yeah, and he's already fully advanced Sasuke's Sharingan and Neji's Byakugan. He said that Neji's was maxed, but Sasuke had another level beyond it." "Hey, how'd you know it was called Fuengan?" Shikamaru seemed very surprised. I'm one of three that knew of all of Naruto's secrets, one being the fox and another being that he was the last in the line of the Uzumakis and had the potential that he could someday activate it. Where is he now? Replied Kakashi. He's on his way to the Hyuga compound with Sasuke and Neji, said Shikamaru a little curious. Right, well I better get going then. I'm gonna need to be there because Hayashi will just try and pass it off as some cheap trick, and with that he vanished in a puff of smoke. Thanks for bringing us this information, Shikamaru. I'll pass it on to your sensei and the other jonin, said Guy before disappearing as well. Great, what am I supposed to do now? Said Shikamaru to no one in particular in a very bored voice before jumping onto a rooftop and running off. And now we return to Naruto and the others just as they reached the Hyuga compound. The look on Hayashi's face is going to be a picture. Anyone got a camera handy? Asked Naruto, his trademark smile going from ear to ear. No, but I wish I did, replied Neji with a small smile on his face. Once Neji had finished his explanation, Hinata had dropped to the back of the group, and somewhere along the way Sasuke had moved forward to beside Neji whilst Naruto had moved back to beside Hinata, and along the journey they appeared to have gotten quite close. If I were you right now, I would not stand so close. We aren't going to want to give him any more reason to blow up at us, said Neji as Hinata blushed crimson and took quite a large step to her left. Then they walked through the large steel gates and into the Hyuga compound. As they entered they could see all around them branch family members training in the gentle fist style. Naruto and Sasuke quickly activated their Sharingan to gather as much information as possible on the gentle fist style and see what they could incorporate into their own. Of course this was a far easier task for Naruto as his Byakugan was also active, allowing him to copy every technique around him in an instant as well as see the way they worked in relation to the chakra points. Soon they arrived at the main building and walked up to one of the doors. Sasuke, Naruto and Hinata stopped and Neji walked up and knocked on the door. Sir, I'm here with Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke, Uchiha and Hinata. We must speak with you, said Neji. Enter came the gruff male voice of Hayashi from the other side of the door. Neji grabbed the left side of the door and slid the door to the right. Neji, Sasuke, Naruto and Hinata walked in and then Hinata turned round and slid the door closed behind her. What is so important that you came here and brought them with you? Said Hashi with his eyes closed, referring to Naruto and Sasuke. If you had bothered to open your eyes, father, you would already know why we are here, said Hinata, seemingly gaining worlds of confidence just by sitting by Naruto. Hayashi opened his eyes and shortly thereafter his mouth when he saw their eyes, the two pairs of now pupilled and hued Hyuga eyes, Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan and Naruto's brilliant blue with almost unmarked irises, unmarked other than five-sided stars that formed a pentagram within his eye that denoted the Fuengan Kekkei Genkai, and Hayashi knew the significance of it. Like the rest of the village, he thought the Fuengan Kekkei Genkai of the Uzumakis had been wiped out as it always had to be taught out and no member had ever been able to spontaneously activate it without the help of another member of their clan. That is until now. So you have activated the Fuengan, and for the first time in 1,000 years you have used it to increase the power of both the Byakugan and the Sharingan, said Hayashi, closing his eyes again. Very well. You will now have the full backing of the Hyuga clan. And Neji, come forward and kneel before me. Neji stood up and walked in front of Hayashi. He then knelt down in front of him. Hayashi then closed his eyes and focused his chakra. He then made 5 hand seals in rapid succession and opening his eyes said, dispel. Now Neji, your caged bird seal has been removed and you are part of the main household. Come and see me tonight. I have a letter from your father for you. Sasuke, the Uchiha and the Hyuga have never previously gotten on, but I know Neji holds your skill in high regard. You are always welcome here and I hope that this brings in a new era of friendship between our clan and you, the last Uchiha, and your future clan. Thank you, Hayashi. I am glad that the past of our clans was one thing that died with the rest of my clan. And rest assured I will be the last of the true Uchiha until Itachi is dead. Only then can I look to rebuilding my clan, replied Sasuke, bowing low. Neji had been shocked but now spoke. Why have you removed my seal? He asked. Because this is a new era and our clan needs you to be able to learn all our techniques. Though I cannot make you heir, I am sure you are worthy of the status of being a main branch member. Do not trouble yourself with the clan elders, I will deal with them myself, replied Hayashi. I think it's time we left. Thank you for your backing, sir, said Naruto, getting up and bowing. Very well. I look forward to watching your progress. I am sure you will do well, said Hayashi. Hinata and Sasuke got up and bowed to Hayashi and then followed Naruto out the door. Once outside, Sasuke said, I'm not sure what to do now. All my plans have gone out the window, but I have a feeling that we'll be called to see the Hokage soon enough. You're probably right. Why don't you go and let Sakura know what happened, said Naruto. Yeah, all right. I'll see you later, said Sasuke. Then he jumped up to the wall that bordered the Hyuga compound and away on the rooftops of Konoha. So what do you want to do now? Naruto asked, and Hinata nearly fell over in shock. He wanted to do something with her, and he wanted to know what she wanted to do. She managed to regain her composure. She thought about everything she'd dreamed of doing with Naruto if she had the chance. Then she realized that in all the trouble and excitement she'd forgotten to eat and was actually rather hungry. "I'm not sure. Get something to eat maybe," she said, hoping that it would be okay with him. "Sounds great. I think we'll go to a restaurant I know. Shall we call it a date?" Naruto replied, and as soon as he asked Hinata if she wanted to say it was a date, she fainted. She couldn't believe her luck, her first real date with Naruto, and he had asked her. Naruto spent the next 10 minutes trying to bring her round and keep her conscious, as every time he brought her round she remembered that she was about to go on her first date with Naruto and fainted again. When she was finally awake again, they got going. They jumped onto the wall and off onto the roofs. They traveled around 4 streets into an area with some quite expensive restaurants, and when Naruto and Hinata jumped down and walked over to one of the most expensive restaurants, Hinata fainted again. And again for around 15 minutes. This time Naruto had to keep bringing her round for her to faint again. Finally she was awake and they walked into the restaurant. "We will not serve you, so you might as well go," said the waiter to Naruto, the malice in his voice apparent, before he saw Hinata. "So you won't serve the escort of a member of the Hyuga clan? Come on then, Naruto, I guess we'll just have to go and tell my father that I couldn't get lunch whilst he trained Neji and Hanabi," said Hinata, and the waiter's jaw immediately dropped. He started stammering as he tried to apologize profusely when he saw Hinata. "I am so sorry, ma'am, I didn't realize he was with you. Please come this way," said the waiter. "If I find that you've treated him this way ever again, then the weight of the Hyuga clan will crush this restaurant." "Naruto has their full backing," said Hinata, and despite her firmness her voice was still soft. "Understood, ma'am, I will inform all our staff and it will never happen again," replied the waiter. "Now that that's settled, what can you recommend for today? I'd like something not on the menu. I'm sure your chef knows at least a couple of dishes," said Hinata, still with a firm voice. "Actually, I think I know one that may be of interest. It was a dish the chef made on the request of the 4th Hokage. Would you like to try it?" asked the waiter while seating them at a table for 2. "Yes, I think that will be fitting," said Hinata kindly. Naruto and Hinata small talked until the food arrived, just talking about the weather and the attack that happened earlier. When the food arrived they sat silently eating, although around halfway through Hinata somewhere found the courage to manage to start playing footsie with Naruto under the table, which surprised Naruto, but he was more than happy to return the gesture. And the events of Sasuke. He jumped from rooftop to rooftop. He had one destination in mind. Beyond that he had no idea where Sakura might be, but he would find her. As he traveled he thought about her. She was a beautiful girl, but he couldn't afford a relationship. It was too risky. Anyone that was too attached could get in the way when he went after Itachi, and that wouldn't do. Anyone who wanted to be close to him had to be able to let him go and stay out of his way. He knew Naruto could. Even if he was there he'd just cheer from the sidelines, and like everyone that knew Naruto well, if he was cheering for you, you couldn't explain how, but you always got stronger, and he knew that Naruto would only step in when he was dead. And only God could help Itachi at that point. He knew that Naruto was far stronger than him, particularly now, and since Naruto had all the skills of the Mangekyo Sharingan and the Byakugan rolled into one with a few bonuses added to that, and with the 9-tailed fox sealed inside him, there was virtually no limit to his chakra stores. Before he knew it, Sasuke was at the street with Sakura's house and her parents' shop on. He jumped down from the roof and walked over to the shop. He saw Sakura inside and knocked on the window. She looked round and saw him, a warm smile forming on her face. He still couldn't deny she was pretty, but his mind was still too set on his goal to give it a second thought beyond, "Well, maybe when I'm done with Itachi." She then walked out of the shop. "Hey Sasuke, what's up?" she asked warmly. "How are you?" he asked. "Better since you saved me and took me to the hospital," replied Sakura. "It wasn't me that saved you. I was as powerless as you were. It was Naruto. It was also him that took you to the hospital," said Sasuke looking down. "Oh, is there any other reason you came by?" asked Sakura. "Actually, yeah. I'm here to fill you in on some recent events," replied Sasuke. /N. "I'm leaving this here and moving somewhere else. I'm pretty sure you don't want to hear the same story again, and I sure as hell can't be arsed retyping it." What happened to Kakashi? He appeared in the main room of the Hyuga house in a poof of smoke. As it cleared he could see Neji and Hayashi Hyuga but no one else. "Well, it would appear that I'm a little late," he said, stepping out of the smoke. "Sorry for the intrusion, Hayashi," he continued, bowing. "You say it as though it's something unusual, Kakashi. I have already spoken to both Sasuke and Naruto. I am hopeful that we will see a new age of cooperation and friendship between the clans. Naruto has been given the full backing of the Hyuga clan. I didn't tell him, but this will include when it comes time for a new Hokage, although I have a feeling he won't be the 5th Hokage, although it would have been ironic if he had. Oh, and Kakashi, please remember that you are always welcome here as long as you are using the doors," replied Hayashi. "Right, sorry about that, and thank you for your assistance to Naruto. I'm sure my sensei would be thanking you as well if he were here. I'll be going now. You wouldn't happen to know where Naruto or Sasuke went, would you? Asked Kakashi. Actually, I would. Sasuke has gone to find Sakura and tell her what's happened, and Naruto took my daughter to lunch. I think they make a wonderful couple, Hayashi said with a knowing look to Kakashi. Thank you again for all your help, Hayashi. I think I'll go find Sasuke and Sakura, said Kakashi before disappearing in a poof of smoke. Did you forget about Shikamaru? Well, I didn't, now to see what he got up to. Man, where the hell could Asuma-sensei be? He muttered, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Oh well. Might as well go and find Ino and Choji and tell them what's happened, he said, changing his direction and heading for the flower shop that Ino's parents owned. Arriving at the flower shop, Shikamaru went in. He saw Ino in the far corner arranging roses in a vase. Hey Ino. Listen, can you spare some time? We need to find Choji. I've got something I need to tell you both, he asked. Sure, Shikamaru, Ino said. I'm taking OFF for a while, she shouted. All right, see you later, they heard from the back of the shop. Then they walked out into the street. Now let's go and find Choji. Any idea where he is? Asked Shikamaru. As a matter of fact, I do. He's at the Big Beef Grill restaurant with his dad, replied Ino. Okay. Shoulda known that you'd know. Okay, let's go get him, said Shikamaru. Ino nodded and they jumped onto the rooftops and away. Back to Naruto and Hinata. They walked out of the restaurant and were greeted by an ANBU Black Ops squad. Naruto Uzumaki, you are to come with us, and judging by the difference in appearance of your eyes, Miss Hyuga, I think it would be best if you came along as well. Don't worry about Sasuke, Neji, and Shikamaru, we've dispatched teams to pick them up too. The third Hokage wishes to see you, said the leader wearing a squirrel mask. Very well, let's go then, said Naruto. Then he, Hinata, and the 4 ANBU members moved off to the Hokage's tower at great speed. 5 minutes later, Naruto and Hinata walked along the corridor to the Hokage's office. As they arrived, the 3 sand ninja emerged wearing leaf head protectors where their sand ones had been. So the 3 of you are part of Konoha now, that's good. Hopefully see you around later, Temari, Kankuro, Gaara, said Naruto. Yes, we are, and I think we shall definitely be seeing each other, said Gaara in a voice that had a strange hint of happiness to it, to which his siblings were quite surprised to hear. They then carried on and Naruto and Hinata walked into the Hokage's office. Naruto, I'm glad that you've finally been able to awaken your clan's legendary abilities. As you saw, even Orochimaru is sacred of them. I also see that you have enhanced Hinata's Byakugan, and I understand you have enhanced Neji's Byakugan and even Sasuke's Sharingan to Mangekyo Sharingan. I intend to inform the village of what you have done and the Kekkai Genkai you have, said the third. No, don't tell the village, it might not be fair on the rest, but it's more trouble than it's worth for me. If they heard I had even had a hand in defeating Orochimaru, they would immediately think that the fox was starting to take control of me. No, I'd prefer the village not know I had anything to do with it, and besides, Haishir has given me the backing of the Hyuga clan, so that should make life a little easier, replied Naruto. During the course of the conversation, Hinata had moved forward and to the side of Naruto, and by the end of it was holding his hand. The third had noticed this, but taking what Naruto had just said into account, he realized that chances were that Haishir would actually be very pleased with this. Very well then, Naruto, the village will not be told. Now all that remains is for the rest to arrive, said the third. With Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke had just finished telling Sakura everything that had happened. He had also switched his Mangekyo Sharingan off, so Naruto has a Kekkai Genkai. Your Sharingan has been advanced to a higher stage of it called Mangekyo Sharingan by Naruto, and he has also enhanced Neji and Hinata's Byakugan. Sakura was repeating what Sasuke had just told her in short to make sure she had heard him right. Yes, said Sasuke. Just then Kakashi appeared in front of them. Well, I finally found you. Sasuke, I hear Naruto activated your Mangekyo Sharingan and that his Fuengan is active too. Is that right? Asked Kakashi, to which Sasuke's only reply was to look him in the eye and activate his Mangekyo Sharingan. Okay, so I heard right then, said Kakashi. Then 3 ANBU appeared. Kakashi-senpai, Sasuke Uchiha. Sakura Haruno, please come with us, the Hokage wishes to see you, said the ANBU wearing a rabbit mask. Alright, let's get going then, said Kakashi. Sakura and Sasuke stood up, and then the 2 genin and 4 ANBU disappeared. To Shikamaru. No way, so Naruto has a Kekkai Genkai and is now even more powerful than Sasuke or Neji. I can't believe that, Shikamaru, said Ino. That Naruto, he sure is something, said Choji. Just then 4 ANBU appeared around them. Shikamaru, Nara, have you told these 2 about what has happened? Asked one of the ANBU. Yes, replied Shikamaru. Very well then, Shikamaru, Nara, Choji Akimichi, and Ino Yamanaka, you are to come with us, said the ANBU. Alright, let's go see what the Sandame wants, said Shikamaru, and with that they all disappeared. 10 minutes later in the Hokage's office. Now that everyone has been assembled, first and foremost, Naruto has asked that the exact details of these incidents remain hidden because as you all know he contains the spirit of the nine-tailed fox and many of the older villagers can only see the demon and not the Naruto we all know. As such I would like ask if anyone here would have an objection to me doing the same thing as when the 4 genin teams were assembled here to be told of the demon within Naruto, said the Hokage thinking back to that day just after the completion of the forest part of the Chunin exams. Flashback begins. The senseis had finished congratulating their teams on passing the Chunin exam so far. Then they each brought their teams to the Hokage's office. Now there is a very good reason why you've all been brought here. It is in regards to Naruto Uzumaki. What I'm about to tell you does not leave this room. All of your senseis have agreed that knowing this will not affect how you treat him, and this information is classified as S-class, said the Hokage very solemnly looking at the genin assembled before him, including a very worried-looking Naruto at the back. As you all know, 12 years ago the nine-tailed fox attacked this village. You were told that it was defeated and led to believe that it had been killed. That is not entirely true. Yes, it was defeated at the cost of the 4th Hokage's life, but it could not be destroyed. Instead it was sealed within the body of a newborn child. It was the 4th's wish that this child like himself would be treated like a hero. However, the people of the village did not hold to his wishes, instead only seeing the demon instead of the child. That child is Naruto, said the 3rd. All of the genin except Naruto looked shocked. Naruto hung his head expecting to see the same stares of hatred and disgust as he saw from the rest of the village. Then he felt something he hadn't expected, a hand resting on his shoulder. He looked up. You know Naruto, we already know you couldn't be the demon within you. After all, I doubt a demon would have such an aptitude for practical jokes, said Sasuke. The looks on the rest of the faces in the room emulated the same sentiments. You are our friend and comrade. We will not fail you when you need us most. Thank you all. I am glad to see that I have made the right decision in telling you, said the Hokage. End flashback. No, Lord Hokage, I don't think anyone here would have any objections. We have all seen the looks the villagers give him, and have often heard him be referred to as the demon brat, and this to them would only confirm their suspicions, said Neji. Yes, I think that this should also be an S-class secret. We'll leave it to you to decide the cover story, said Shikamaru. But what about Kiba, Akamaru, Shino, Tenten, and Bushibrows? They should be told as well, said Naruto. Very well, Naruto, the arrangements will be made for them to be informed of the events and the details of their classification, said the 3rd. Now you may all go. Except you, Naruto, I need to speak to you, he finished. Then all except Naruto, Hinata, and Kakashi left the room. I see, said the Hokage. Very well, then I will inform you as well, Jiraiya, said the 3rd, and the Sannin appeared next to him. Yes, sensei, said Jiraiya. Now then, I have decided that it is once again time I retired, and I believe that Tsunade would be the best person to take over the position of Hokage, said Sarutobi. But Lord Hokage, we have no idea where she is, said Kakashi. That's why I want Jiraiya to take Naruto and go and look for her. You have 2 weeks, said the Hokage. I have one request, I want Hinata to come with us as well, said Naruto. The 3rd seemed to think about this for a few moments. Very well then, take her as well, and Jiraiya, she's a Hyuga, so treat her well, said Sarutobi. Understood, Sarutobi-sensei, said the Sannin. He then turned to Naruto and Hinata. You two go home and get packed. Meet me at the front gate in 2 hours, he said to the genin. Okay, Ero Sennin, let's go, Hinata, said Naruto. What have I told you about calling me that? Screamed the Sannin to Naruto and Hinata's backs. Take care of him, Jiraiya. I'm counting on you to look after your student's legacy, said Kakashi before vanishing. Well, Haisher, I think I better explain what's happening whilst Hinata collects what she needs, said Naruto kneeling in front of the Hyuga head. The Hokage has asked that I accompany the Ero Sennin Jiraiya to find Lady Tsunade and ask her to be the next Hokage, and I have requested that Hinata accompany us, he explained. Very well then, I assume that he intends to teach you something along the way. Will Hinata also be allowed to learn it if she can? Asked Haisher, concerned that Hinata would be going along for no reason other than to keep Naruto company and would miss out on an opportunity to train, although when he thought about it, Naruto would train on his own if need be and likely would have Hinata train with him, which would help her gain more skill with the new Byakugan. He still didn't know what it was called. He made a mental note to ask Naruto at a later time. Even if he won't train her himself, I'll train with her and do my best to teach her any techniques he teaches me, said Naruto, hoping that it would be enough. How would you like Hinata to be able to summon foxes? I'm sure that damn pervert would try and make her sign the contract for toads if she doesn't, said the voice. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, but that's only if she wants to sign it, so how would I go about it? Asked Naruto. Don't worry about it now. I'll tell you when we get to your flat, said the voice. All right then. Please take care of her, Naruto, said Haisher. Of course, sir, replied Naruto bowing. Just then Hinata came into the room. I'm ready to go, Naruto. Goodbye, father, she said. Have a safe trip, replied Haishur. Then the two genin bowed and left. Welcome to my home, Hinata, said Naruto as he opened the door. His apartment was spotless. Of course, that was because after Hinata had gone in to get her things on his way to speak to Haishur, Naruto had created a shadow clone and sent it to clean his apartment. When it arrived, it created another 4 shadow clones, and they quickly got to work making sure that it was clean and tidy. He didn't want Hinata to see his home in its usual state. It's nice, Naruto, said Hinata. Naruto sighing mentally that his clones had done a good enough job and she liked it. He resolved to make sure that it wouldn't get into that state again. I'm glad you like it, Hinata, replied Naruto, moving towards his bedroom to pack his things. Naruto, said Hinata, Naruto thinking that she wanted somewhere to sit and wait for him cut in before she continued. If you go through the second door, there's a sofa you can sit on, he said. Actually, Naruto, said Hinata, blushing lightly and tapping her extended index fingers together. Naruto looked out of his room. What is it, Hinata? He asked. Hinata was struggling but decided that since he was the one that had basically asked her on their first date, she would take a chance. Are we going out now? She asked, turning a shade of red previously only seen on tomatoes. If that's what you want, Hinata, said Naruto, turning back into his room to continue collecting his things before hearing a loud thud from his hallway. He looked out again to see that Hinata had fainted again, so he walked into the hallway, picked her up bridal style, and then carried her back into his room, gently laying her his bed before continuing to collect his things. They still had around an hour, so he was in no rush to wake her before he was ready to go. 5 minutes later, Hinata woke up, not quite sure where she was. Then she remembered asking Naruto if they were going out, and then on remembering his reply, she once again blushed the red of a tomato, but didn't faint. She decided it best to find out where she was since she was quite sure she wasn't still in the hall. Upon realizing that she was laying on a bed and promptly putting 2 and 2 together and realizing it was in fact Naruto's bed, she promptly fainted again. So how do I let Hinata sign the summoning contract for foxes? Asked Naruto. Simple, write the kanji for white fox on your left arm. I'm going to give her a slightly different one to yours. You can summon any kind of fox, even the black and the water-based blue foxes to your aid, but Hinata is going to be able to summon white and blue foxes. They aren't as powerful as the red or black in outright strength, but they are faster and quicker to adapt to match what the summoner needs them for, as well as being somewhat more tactful than cunning, replied the voice. Naruto did as he was told and wrote the kanji for white fox on his left arm. Now what? He asked. Normally, to create a summoning contract you would need a drop of blood from the kind of animal for the contract, but since I am god of the foxes and my blood is mixed within your veins, by merely smearing your own blood on the kanji you can summon any kind of contract that I choose to give you. In this case it will be for both the white and blue foxes, said the voice. Naruto then bit his thumb and smeared his blood across the kanji he had put on his arm. A poof of white smoke appeared, and when it cleared, the kanji on his arm was gone, and on the floor under his arm was a scroll. It was bigger than an average scroll, but not as big as the toad summoning scroll Jiraiya carried. Around 10 minutes later, Naruto had finished packing and was ready to go. All that was left was to wake Hinata. Trying to think of the best way to wake her up, he didn't think that she'd be happy being slapped or soaked, and he no longer thought that shaking her was a very good idea either. Then the strangest idea, at least to him, came to him. He decided to kiss Hinata, and so he kneeled down next to the bed, leant over and kissed Hinata on the lips, holding it. Hinata awoke feeling someone kissing her. She didn't open her eyes immediately. She hoped it wasn't a dream. Then her mind ran through last few events and she opened her eyes wide in shock. It was then she realized that it was in fact Naruto kissing her. She felt her face once again glow red, but to her surprise she didn't faint. She slowly closed her eyes again and returned the kiss. After realizing that Hinata was awake and returning the kiss, Naruto held the kiss a little longer, and then he pulled away, looking down on Hinata, the blush now only lightly gracing her cheeks. Thank you, Naruto, that was the best wake-up I've ever had, said Hinata, her eyes still closed. You're welcome. Listen, how would you like to be able to summon creatures? Said Naruto, helping Hinata to sit up on the bed with her legs hanging of the side. What kind of creatures, Naruto? Asked Hinata. White and blue foxes, said Naruto. Okay, how? Asked Hinata. Just sign your name in blood on the scroll and then put blood on your hand and do these hand seals. Slam your hand on the floor and say summoning jutsu, said Naruto, performing the jutsu slowly, so that Hinata could see it. Then there was a poof of white smoke and a white fox with the black tips on its tail and ears around the same size as Akamaru appeared. Hey, I'm Byako, said the fox. Its voice was light and quite high. It's so cute, said Hinata softly. I like you, said Byako to Hinata. And Naruto, Let me sign the contract, said Hinata. Naruto then lifted up the contract and unrolled it on the bed. Hinata bit her thumb and signed her name where Naruto pointed to on the contract. Okay. Now you try summoning Byakugan, said Naruto as the fox disappeared. Hinata then smeared blood on her palm as Naruto had done and went through the seals, then put her hand on the bed and a poof of smoke appeared again. I'm Byakugan, said the small fox in a sing-song manner. Wow, I did it, Naruto, said Hinata happily. Well done, Hinata, said Naruto, hugging her. This caused her to blush crimson, but to her surprise she didn't faint. Come on, I need to collect a few supplies before we need to go and meet Erosenin, said Naruto as he stood up and stretched out his hand to help Hinata up off the bed. Hinata accepted Naruto's waiting hand, getting up off the bed, returned Byakugan to the summoning plane, and walking with Naruto to the front door, they picked up their bags, put their sandals on, and walked out the front door. 1 hour later at the main gate. Where is he? He's almost as bad as Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto, standing next to Hinata holding her hand. I'm sure there's a good reason why he's late, Naruto, said Hinata quietly. I doubt it, probably peeping on girls, said Naruto. He then activated his Fuengen and used the Byakugan part to look for the Toad Sage. As he was looking around, something caught his attention, but he couldn't quite see it even with the Byakugan. It had looked like someone who was invisible and suppressing their chakra. He decided to double-check, so he activated his infrared vision and checked the same place, and sure as day he saw the outline of Jiraiya radiating heat and walking towards them. A minute or so later he watched as Jiraiya walked past them. What are you trying to do, Erosenin, said Naruto, sounding anything but amused. Jiraiya was stunned. He knew even the Hyuga's Byakugan could only barely see him with his invisibility jutsu on, so Hinata shouldn't have been able to see him. Then he remembered that Naruto now had the Fuengen and realized that was why he hadn't been able to sneak past. He could hide his chakra but not his heat. Should have known better than to try and sneak by a Fuengen user, said Jiraiya, standing with one hand scratching the back of his head. Yeah, you should have, said Naruto. Sorry to keep you waiting. Now before we go, have either of you ever trained with weights before? Asked Jiraiya. No, Erosenin, said Naruto, a little confused. Hinata just shook her head. Alright then, well, starting now you will each carry 5 kgs on each limb to begin with, and I'll increase to weights as and when I see fit. You will also wear these vests. They absorb chakra, so you can't use it to help you carry to weights. Hinata, you will wear 1 and Naruto will wear 3, said Jiraiya, pulling 4 black vests and 8 weight bands out of his bag. How come I have to wear more vests? Moaned Naruto. Because you have a higher chakra capacity than anyone else your age, so this balances it out, said Jiraiya. Naruto and Hinata then took their jackets off and put the vests on, and then the wrist weights, then they put the ankle weights on. Okay, Erosenin, we're done. Now let's get going, said Naruto impatiently. And with that, they set off along the road. Half an hour later. So, Erosenin, when are you going to teach us some new jutsus? Asked Naruto. We're going to start with some basic techniques, starting with the one I was using when I arrived at the main gate. It's an invisibility jutsu that's excellent for sneaking around and gathering information, said Jiraiya. Why would we want to learn that? Asked Naruto, unsure about the true motives of the technique's creation. He did understand how it could be useful, just not to him. Because Naruto, you need to learn the other elements of being a ninja. Yes, so far your strategy of hit it till it breaks has worked so far, but that will not always be the case. It also makes it easy to escape, to recover, as well as to sneak up on enemy shinobi even in the middle of battle. If timed correctly with some other event, you can make them think that you've put them in a genjutsu even though you haven't. Jiraiya informed them. So how do we do it, Erosenin? Asked Naruto, activating the Sharingan part of the Fuengen. Jiraiya then performed 3 hand seals in quick succession and disappeared from view. With the Sharingan abilities active, Naruto could easily replicate the technique and did so to prove it. Not bad, Naruto, but Hinata, activate your Byakugan, said Jiraiya. Okay, said Hinata, activating her Kekii Genkai. Now Hinata, who can you see? Asked Jiraiya, smiling. I can see Naruto clearly, said Hinata. And what about me? Asked Jiraiya. I can see you, but only just Erosenin, said Hinata softly. ARJH. You told her to call me that, didn't you, Naruto, screamed Jiraiya. Of course, Erosenin, it is the truth after all, Naruto said, his trademark smile on his face. Anyway, as Hinata said, you can do the jutsu itself, but you haven't mastered the rest of the jutsu. In order to get the full potential from this jutsu, you need to be able to suppress your chakra whilst maintaining the jutsu. Otherwise, even though you are invisible, it is still possible for people like Hinata and Sasuke to see you, and others that can sense chakra with more ease can find your position. As it happens, I have a task for both of you to help with this, said Jiraiya, deactivating the jutsu. He then pulled out 2 water balloons. What are they for? Asked Naruto, deactivating the jutsu himself and looking a little lost. This is the first stage in learning a technique left for us by the fourth Hokage. You need to spin your chakra to pop the balloon, said Jiraiya, handing them each a water balloon. Okay. Well, that sounds simple enough, replied Naruto, brimming with confidence as usual. Then it shouldn't take too long then. Now come on, you can practice whilst we walk, said Jiraiya, starting to walk off down the road. Naruto and Hinata followed soon after, each starting to try and burst the water balloon by spinning the water with their chakra. It was slightly easier for them as they could both see the chakra moving around in the balloon, but they still found it difficult to get the balloon to burst. Damn it, I can't get it to burst. Hey Arrow Sennin, why don't you show us how to do it? Asked Naruto. What with your abilities, no way, it would be way too easy for you to see how to do it and just copy it. You would be able to do it right, said Jiraiya, looking back over his shoulder. What do you mean, of course we'd do it right, and how are we supposed to be able to get anywhere near it if we don't know what it is we're trying to do, whined Naruto. No, you wouldn't, because your chakra control isn't good enough. This will teach you as well as help you with your other jutsu. In fact, I have an idea. Both of you lift up your tops and show me your stomach, said Jiraiya. Both genin looked a little confused but complied, Hinata blushing heavily. Jiraiya then created the 5-pointed seal that he had previously removed from Naruto in both hands and used it on them. What did you do to us, Arrow Sennin? Asked Naruto. I put a seal on you that will make it difficult to use chakra. It's the same one I took of you when I taught you to walk on water, replied the Sannin. Enter flashback. Naruto got up from the bushes he had been thrown into and walked back over to the old man. What did you do that for? He asked. Try walking on water now, replied the old man. Naruto was skeptical but complied. Hey, I can do it, he shouted, jumping up and down on the water. He walked back to the bank after calming down. Hey Arrow Sennin, what did you do? Asked Naruto. How many times do I have to tell you not to call me that my name is Jiraiya, shouted the man. Anyway, around the seal that regulated the demon's chakra going into your body, I noticed another seal designed to disrupt it, making it hard for you to control its chakra and your own. My guess is it was put there by a man called Orochimaru, replied Jiraiya. Oh, so that's what he did. Hey, how do you know Orochimaru? Said Naruto. He's a Sannin like me. There are only 3 Sannin. We were all teammates at one time, trained by the Hokage, so of course I'm gonna know him, replied the Sannin. Exit flashback. What? Why have you put that on us? Screamed Naruto. Because if you master this technique whilst you are restrained by it, when you're done your chakra control will be excellent, replied Jiraiya. Makes sense, I guess, but I still don't like it, moaned Naruto. Now come on and keep practicing. If you can make it to the second stage in 2 days, I'll take it off, said Jiraiya. He wasn't sure whether he actually would or wouldn't yet, but at least if Naruto had a target to work at, he would mange with more easy. Alright, I'll be done by this time tomorrow, said Naruto, brimming with confidence. Hinata blushed, admiring his confidence and deciding that she would try and do it at least as quickly if not quicker, in hopes that he would recognize her, having not quite allowed herself to believe that he actually cared for her yet. That evening, they had arrived at their destination earlier on that night. Naruto had managed to persuade Jiraiya, bribed of course, and Hinata that it would be fine if they shared a room, but had also agreed that it should be a twin, not a double. That night he and Hinata had continued to practice the jutsu whilst Jiraiya had gone out to find information on Tsunade and conduct some research. They were getting closer to the point they had really started at before Jiraiya put the seals on them. Hey kid, said the voice. What is it? Asked Naruto. Just thought you'd want to know that if we get into trouble, I'll be able to negate the effects of the seal, but only for about 20 minutes, so we'd have to finish it up quickly, said the voice. Glad to hear it. I have to protect Hinata. Whilst you're here, any guesses as to what the technique is or how to do it? Asked Naruto. Yes, on both counts, but I believe that Arrow Sennin was correct in his decision. This will be a far better way. As far as I know, it's similar to the method the fourth first used to create it in the first place. And before you ask, yes, I do know what it looks like and how it's done. When you're a demon, you kinda learn those things when you see an attack being used on you, replied the voice. Okay, well thanks anyway, said Naruto. The neat morning. Konoha. 2 figures wearing black cloaks with red clouds on them and straw hats, one with something wrapped in bandages on his back, walked into Konoha, apparently using a henge and false papers to gain access. As they walked by the river flowing through Konoha, their path was blocked by 2 jonin, Asuma Sarutobi and Kurenai Yuhi. Well, now who do we have here? Asked Asuma. Looks like a couple of troublemakers. What's your business back in Konoha, Itachi Uchiha? Said Kurenai. That is not your concern, replied Itachi, dispelling his henge. Then the second person walked forward. No, we are not here for a confrontation, Kisame, he said to his companion. Well now, Kisame Hashigaki, one of the 7 shinobi swordsmen of the mist, listed in the bingo book for assassination and attempted treason, said Asuma. That is also not your concern. If you leave us be, we shall cause no trouble. I am here purely for reminisce sake, stated Itachi. Somehow I find that very hard to believe, said Asuma as he and Kurenai dropped into stances ready for battle. I can see we're gonna have to do this the hard way, said Itachi. Just then 2 squads of Anbu and Kakashi appeared around them. Itachi Uchiha, you and your companion are to come with us, and powerful as you may be I doubt that you could manage to take us all down or flee from us all, said Kakashi. Very well then, said Itachi, and with that they left. Half an hour later. Kurenai and Asuma are sitting in Kakashi's apartment whilst Kakashi lies unconscious in the bed. Then the door opens and Sasuke walks in. What happened to him? He's supposed to be training me? Demanded Sasuke. Just then a Chunin ran in. I heard that Itachi Uchiha came back and he's after Naruto Uzumaki, is that right? He asked quickly before checking who was in the room. Sasuke's eyes shot wide open whilst Asuma and Kurenai quickly looked at the Chunin, narrowing their own. You heard right, said Asuma, knowing that Sasuke would know if he was lying with the Sharingan even if the Chunin didn't. Half a second later Sasuke was out the door and heading for the town that he knew Naruto, Hinata and Jiraiya were going to stop in first. Great. Now go and tell Guy what just happened here. He's going to need to go after Sasuke, said Asuma. And with that the Chunin immediately turned and ran out the door in search of Guy. 2 hours later. Hinata and Naruto are in the hotel practicing the technique. Their progress has been slow but steady. A sudden knock on the door disturbs them from their practice. You keep practicing, Hinata? I'll answer the door, said Naruto, getting up. Hinata then resumed her practice. Another knock on the door. All right, I'm coming, said Naruto. Damn Ero-Sennin, he muttered under his breath. He got to the door and opened it, but to his surprise it was not Jiraiya standing in front of him but 2 men. One that looked like he could be an older version of Sasuke and another who looked very strange to Naruto, with blue skin, no apparent nose and 2 V's under each eye. His eyes were a little like Hinata's had been before he changed them, but instead of being a sort of cream with no pupils they were white with very small pupils, and his teeth were showing even though his mouth was closed, strange large triangular teeth. Naruto Uzumaki, come with us, said the one that looked like Sasuke. And why should I do that? Replied Naruto. Yep, he's just as I thought, stubborn and mouthy, thought Itachi, but Itachi was prevented from any more thoughts by a familiar voice shouting at him. Itachi, I'm here to kill you. I've lived my life just as you said, filled with hate, anger and rage at you, shouted Sasuke, charging up his Chidori. He then ran at Itachi, foolish, thought Itachi, as Sasuke reached him, and he easily deflected the attack, sending it through the wall and throwing Sasuke away. Naruto then moved to attack Itachi. Stay out of this, it's their fight, said the other guy, putting something resembling a sword wrapped in bandages in Naruto's way. Stay out of this, Naruto, I'll kill him myself, shouted Sasuke, charging at Itachi again, this time wielding a kunai. This time Itachi grabbed his arm and pulled it across him. He then kneed Sasuke in the gut, let go of him, and before he could even start to fall, roundhoused him into the wall. Jiraiya then broke through the wall on the other side of the guy with the sword. It seems I got here just in time. I got a message from Konoha that you two had come after Naruto and Sasuke was chasing after Itachi, said the Sannin. Well, let's leave the brothers to it, wouldn't want to disrupt their reunion now, would we, said the other guy. I guess not, Kisame Hashigaki, said Jiraiya, although his face and body language showed that given half a chance he'd be through and helping the genin. Itachi walked up to Sasuke, who was slowly standing up after hitting the wall and falling to the floor. He then grabbed his shirt collar and lifted him up, switching his eyes to Mangekyo Sharingan. He got Tsukuyomi ready, so that as soon as Sasuke opened his eyes he would be caught in the genjutsu. Sasuke opened his eyes. Itachi was shocked but had no time to stop the technique when he realized that Sasuke was also using the Mangekyo Sharingan, but his was different. They appeared in the warped world of Tsukuyomi, but instead of seeing the Sasuke he had originally left in Konoha as he was supposed to, he instead saw the Sasuke he had been fighting against. Well, it would seem you also have the Mangekyo Sharingan, but what I'd like to know is how did you get it? Inquired Itachi. Sasuke laughed. Ever wondered where our Sharingan came from? You know as well as I do it wasn't written in the scrolls. It's a branch of the Fuengan Kekkei Genkai, ever heard of it? Said Sasuke. No, I can't say I have, replied Itachi. Well then why don't I tell you, it's the Kekkei Genkai of the Uzumaki clan. Naruto managed to activate his. Amongst its abilities it is capable of enhancing both the Sharingan and the Byakugan. Another thing the scrolls seem to be missing is that the Sharingan has a 3rd stage and it can only be unlocked by the Fuengan, it's called Kajigan, but I haven't got it just yet. However, my Mangekyo Sharingan is more than enough to match yours, said Sasuke. Meanwhile, I think it's time I gave some of the Sharingan's more advanced techniques a shot, thought Naruto. Hey ugly, called out Naruto. What did you just call me? Said Kisame turning around. Naruto had prepared his version of Tsukuyami. Kekim as Kisame turned round Naruto looked straight into his eyes. To Kisame the world went dark for a moment and then a different world seemed to form around him. It was hot and dry and whilst there was just enough light to see by he couldn't tell where it was coming from the sky was completely black. What the hell did you do? Seethed Kisame to the Naruto that materialized from the ground up in front of him. Well, since you work with Itachi and I already know he has Mangekyo Sharingan, I take it you're familiar at least in some way with its Tsukuyami technique? Inquired Naruto. Of course, not that I've ever been daft enough to get on the receiving end of it, replied Kisame. Well, this is an even more powerful version of that, it's called Kekim, stated Naruto. Yeah right, and how would you be able to use the Sharingan technique? Said Kisame, preparing to dispel what he thought was simple genjutsu. I told you it's not a Sharingan technique as such but a more powerful technique. After all, that's what you'd expect from the Kekkei Genkai the Sharingan came from. The Fuengen, said Naruto calmly. No way, you mean I'm trapped in a technique even more devastating than the Mangekyo's Tsukuyami? Cried Kisame. Yes, shouted Naruto. At that moment a 10-foot-long spear impaled Kisame through his left shoulder, running straight down, out of his foot and into the floor with only 2.5 feet still showing out of the 6-inch 6-person. Then a second appeared on his right side and the process was repeated. Again and again the spears were withdrawn and plunged into him. Outside the Genjutsus, Hinata had stopped her practice and walked to the door. She was about to wave her hand in front of Naruto's face to see if he was okay when Jiraiya called out. Don't, he's taken Kisame into a powerful dojutsu that requires eye contact. Sasuke and Itachi are in one as well. The two are either the same one or very close, he said. Oh, okay, said Hinata timidly looking over at Sasuke and Itachi. How on earth could it be taking so long though? Naruto must be give Kisame quite a hard time for it to take this long. But as far as I know from my talks with Naruto and Sasuke's fathers, the only reason that I know of for Itachi and Sasuke to take so long is if Sasuke has the Mangekyo Sharingan as well and used it, it prevents the full effects of Tsukuyami and increases the time it takes, thought Jiraiya, shuddering at the thought of being in the world created by Kekim. He had been a victim of it once before thanks to Naruto's father. He almost felt sorry for Kisame being in that world. At the same time in both dojutsus. Time we left, said Naruto and Sasuke, again showing the level their teamwork had achieved. Instantly all four were back in reality. Kisame collapsed to one knee and then quickly jumped over to beside Itachi, who was still next to Sasuke, both of which had doubled over in exhaustion. Kisame were going, said Itachi, quickly running at a wall and using a flying kick to knock straight through it, Kisame following close behind. Naruto, how can you use a technique more powerful than Tsukuyami and not suffer from chakra depletion? Asked Sasuke, kneeling on one knee and breathing heavily. Believe me, I've used up more chakra than you have, but another part of my family's bloodline, though it's not really considered a Kekkei Genkai, because you can't see it, is that we have very high chakra reserves. Mine is higher than most Chunin and even some Jonin, and it's even higher if I tap into the demons, said Naruto, his trademark smile plastered across his face. Sasuke smiled back. Well, I guess you didn't really need me then, said Sasuke. Like I take out Itachi. He's your brother and your problem, replied Naruto, still smiling. He walked over to Sasuke and bent down to help him up. Jiraiya followed him over and stood in front of them. I have to say I'm very impressed with both of you. It took a lot of skill to be able to go up against those two and force them to retreat. I'm not sure it would have been the same if I hadn't been here, but regardless, it's very impressive. I have a feeling that you two are going to be some of the strongest ninjas ever, said the Sannin. Just then someone came flying in. Dynamic entry, shouted Guy. His foot was quickly deflected into a wall by Naruto. Guy-sensei, I suggest having a better look at who you're going to attack before attacking, said Naruto. Sorry about that, all I could see using my forehead protector was two people next to a third who looked pretty beat up, so I assumed the worst. I left my mirror at home, he replied, pulling his foot out of the wall. He normally carries a mirror, thought Jiraiya. Hey kid, whatever you do, don't wear one of those green spandex things, said the voice. Why not? Asked Naruto. If you thought people didn't take you seriously before, then imagine how they'll treat you if you wore that. Oh, and on the subject of dress sense, I think it would be a good idea to get some new clothes. I know you like these jumpsuits, but the only things that shout, look I'm here kill me more are fluorescent, said the voice. I suppose you're right, I guess we'll go look after this has been sorted out. Might as well take Hinata too, thought Naruto. Right then Guy. I trust we can leave it to you to make sure that Sasuke gets back to Konoha safely, said Jiraiya. Sure thing, we'll leave right away, said Guy, using his nice guy pose. Well, since that's sorted, I think me and Hinata will go shopping, said Naruto, walking over to the hole made by Itachi and jumping out of it. Right, CC coming, said Hinata, running after him and following him out the hole. 3 hours later. Konoha. Guy and Sasuke walked into Kakashi's apartment. Kakashi still lay unconscious in bed and Asuma and Kurenai were in the same places they'd been when Sasuke left. Sasuke pulled up a chair next to his sensei's bed and Guy stood in the open door leaning with his back on the frame. "What happened?" asked Kurenai, surprised to see Sasuke back and fully conscious. She had expected him to be at least unconscious, whether by Itachi's hand when he attacked him or by Guy's hand when he wouldn't come back to Konoha peacefully. "I'll let Sasuke fill you in on the details since I wasn't witness to it," said Guy. Asuma and Kurenai then looked at Sasuke expectantly. "I arrived to see Itachi and his accomplice standing at the door to Naruto's room. I charged up a Chidori and ran at Itachi. He easily deflected it and sent it through the wall. He then threw me back and I charged at him a second time, this time using a kunai, and again he deflected it, but this time he kept hold of my arm and kneed me in the gut, then sent me flying into a wall, walked over and picked me up by the collar. I figured he was going to use a Mangekyo Sharingan technique, called Tsukuyomi. I was right, so when I opened my eyes we half-cancelled each other's jutsus out," said Sasuke. Asuma looked a little confused by this. "What do you mean? I thought it couldn't be cancelled out," said Kurenai. "Well, it can't exactly be cancelled out, like I said, it was only halfway. Instead we entered the jutsu with neither having any control over it and neither willing to really concede. Neither of yous could use chakra, so instead I explained what had happened, but I chose what I said carefully. I did tell Itachi of the Fuengen and of the third stage of Sharingan. It's not mentioned in the scrolls of our clan. After I finished explaining to Itachi, we both realized that the time distortion the jutsu usually creates to be most effective had been drastically slowed down, and instead of it taking only a second or so, it took quite a while. It would also seem that whilst me and Itachi were in Tsukuyomi, Naruto had taken his accomplice into his version of it. We all left the jutsus at the same time, and then Itachi and his partner fled, most likely because of the large chakra drain and realizing that if they stuck around they would have to fight against both myself and Naruto. Not that I would have been much good in truth. The chakra drain I suffered was immense, but also against Jiraiya and Hinata, which in their weakened state would have meant certain defeat," explained Sasuke. "I think it was shortly after that I arrived. I tried to use my forehead protector to see through the hole in the wall, but all I could see was one figure standing and another picking up one that was on the floor. So of course I assumed that Itachi and Kisame had gotten to Naruto, and so I attacked, only to realize mid-flight that I was going to hit Jiraiya. That however didn't happen, as Naruto deflected my attack and sent my flying into a wall instead. That boy sure has gotten powerful," said Guy. "Well, now, it seems a lot has happened in the time I've been out. Tell me, how long has it been?" asked Kakashi, slowly raising himself to a sitting position. "Only about 5 hours, Kakashi-sensei," said Sasuke. "Well, I'm going to need to rest up a little longer, but I should be ready to resume training you first thing tomorrow, Sasuke. In the meantime, I suggest you go and revise the techniques of Mangekyo Sharingan and practice the ones you can. I think you'll find that animals will be quite susceptible to the effects of Tsukuyomi. First thing tomorrow we'll get to work on increasing your chakra capacity. If my guess is right, Naruto seemed fine after using his technique, correct?" said Kakashi. Sasuke was surprised. "Yeah, how did you know?" he asked. "I know a lot about his Kekkei Genkai, and that his chakra capacity makes that of any person in this room seem like they've got almost none at all. Add to that he's learning to tap into and harness the fox's power, which gives him a near limitless chakra potential. If he can learn to harness it directly, he'll never run out of chakra without even touching his own," explained Kakashi. A men's clothes store in the town Naruto, Hinata and Jiraiya were staying in. Naruto pulled back the curtain of the changing room he was in. "What do you think, Hinata?" he asked. In the hour and a half they'd been there, Hinata had hardly said a word. After about 30 minutes of trying on outfits, Naruto had found the pattern to her blushes. If there wasn't a blush, she didn't really like it. If there was a light blush, it was as good as his normal jumpsuit. A heavy blush said it was better than his normal, but still not great. If her entire face turned the shade of a tomato, it was pretty good. If it turned crimson, it was excellent. And if she fainted, Naruto went and bought it and asked that anything he bought as a set be delivered to his hotel room that night. Then he would go and wake her up and tell her he decided to put it back. He wanted to surprise her with them. And Naruto, haven't you got enough new clothes already?" she asked, referring to the large pile of 20 or so articles, not including a further 9 he had already purchased. Her face that lovely tomato color telling Naruto that it was worth getting. "Nah, and besides, after I've finished sorting out some new clothes for me, we're gonna go and get some for you," replied Naruto, instantly causing Hinata's blush to turn crimson, and then shortly thereafter she fainted. "Well, what do you think? They're completely different to what I normally wear?" Naruto asked. "They're great. With these you won't stick out so much. There is, however, one more store I think we should pay a visit to before we buy some for her. I noticed a store selling certain patterned clothes, although I don't think they were designed to be camouflage. There are 3 designs that will work perfectly. One for forest, one for desert, and one for night. You virtually disappear in them. They'll be great for high-risk times and special missions," replied the voice. Okay. Well, should I get some of them for Hinata as well? Asked Naruto. Yes, that would be a very good idea, replied the voice. Naruto then paid for the clothes he had selected and woke Hinata. They left the store and headed for the store that Naruto had noticed on their way to the previous store. Once there, Naruto found the 3 uniforms he had been told about and tried them on till he found suitable sizes. Alright Hinata, now you try and find some to fit you, said Naruto, walking out of the changing room holding the 3 sets of clothes. Huh? Why? Asked Hinata. These suits are good camouflage. One makes you hard to see in a forest, another works for desert, and the last is good for night. They'll help keep you safe, replied Naruto. Okay, replied Hinata, picking out some of the clothes. Then she went into the changing rooms and came out wearing the forest suit. It was light and dark green and brown and apparently random slashes, but they were quite big, the trousers bunching up and folding over about 4 times at the bottom, and the top and jacket came to halfway down her thighs. No good, Hinata, they need to be quite tight-fitting, otherwise they won't hide you properly, said Naruto. Hinata seemed very wary but went back in and changed again. Then she came out and selected smaller sizes. She then went in and tried them on again, then came out again. What do you think? She asked, coming out again, this time wearing the desert style. It's 2 shades of yellow and 3rd light brown color in a dappled pattern, as though someone had painted it, putting dots on it. This time the trousers only folded up once. The top dropped to about 2 inches below her crotch and the jacket was in the same place as before. They're still too big, Hinata, like I said, they need to be quite tight-fitting, said Naruto. Hinata looked a little saddened but pulled the curtain across and got changed again. She then came out and again got smaller sizes and came out again. How's tea this, Naruto? She asked, her face the color of a tomato. This time she wore the night style, mostly black and dark gray with flashes of white and light gray in places. Naruto's jaw dropped. She already had a great figure, with nice curves, and her breast looked to about the size of Naruto's palm but only as deep as his nail. Still, he knew they'd fill out and couldn't wait to see them. He mentally shook himself out of his trance. Perfect, Hinata, just right. They won't get in the way or give away your position, and they show just what a great figure you have, said Naruto, smiling. On hearing Naruto's compliment, Hinata's face went from tomato to crimson. She was amazed she was still standing. Naruto just complimented her. Then, still blushing, she pulled the curtain back across and got changed. She then brought out the clothes and handed them to Naruto, who then went and paid for them, and they left the shop. Where to now, Naruto? Asked Hinata, expecting them to go back to the hotel. Now we're gonna get you some new clothes. I'm gonna buy them and you're not gonna look at the price tags, said Naruto. Hinata was stunned. Naruto, you mustn't, and even so I could not look at the price tags if it's your money, said Hinata, blushing heavily. Promise me you won't look at the price of them, Hinata. I want to buy you only what you want, not what you want to get, because it's not too expensive, said Naruto, looking her straight in the eye. Okay, Naruto, I promise, said Hinata. She really didn't want to, but something told her there was no getting around it. One way or another, he would find a way to get her the ones she liked regardless of the cost. They carried on to a store that caught Hinata's eye and went in. She went through all the clothes in the store and to Naruto's satisfaction did not check the price on a single item. She found several items that she liked the look of and tried them on. The second easily caught Naruto's eye. As he blushed furiously, it was a dress that, whilst it wasn't very tight-fitting, it wasn't exactly loose either. Wow, Hinata, you are so beautiful. And that outfit really brings it out, he said, smiling with his cheeks bright red from the blush. Hinata blushed heavily at the compliment. Thank you, Naruto, she said, smiling and averting her eyes. Whilst in the changing room, she had noticed the price, and even though she was a Hyuga and accustomed to expensive items, she still thought it was a little pricey. She wouldn't have even let her father buy it for her. But she had promised Naruto, and she reminded herself that her ninja way, was to never go back on her word, and since Naruto knew the only ones she had picked out were ones she liked, and it was quite apparent that she was comfortable in it, she knew she was going to have to let him buy it. She tried on the last outfit and liked the way it felt. Naruto had managed to inspire a little more confidence in her with her comment when getting the camouflage, and so she had picked something a little more tight-fitting than she was used to wearing. Naruto thought it looked great too, so she gathered up the items and they walked to the counter. Naruto then paid for the items and they left. 3 hours later, the hotel room. Naruto opened the door and let Hinata in first. Her eyes opened wide in surprise when she saw a couple of bags next to Naruto's bed and a box sitting on her own. Naruto, what is this stuff? She asked. Well, you remember the outfits I tried on at the first store that caused you to faint, and when you came to I told you I put them back? He asked in reply. Whys, she replied, not really sure where he going. But she had her suspicions and hoped they were right. Well, I lied. I figured I'd leave it as a surprise. I bought them whilst you had fainted and asked that they deliver them here, said Naruto, smiling nervously with one hand behind his head. Hearing this, Hinata remembered a couple of the outfits and blushed crimson at the memory. So you bought all of them? She asked. Naruto nodded his head. Yeah, so surprised, said Naruto, still smiling. Hinata then looked at the box on her bed. What's that, Naruto? She asked, not entirely sure she wanted to hear the answer. Well, I took a note of your sizes whilst paying for some of the things and decided to get you a little something special, said Naruto, grinning sheepishly. Hinata walked over to her bed and looked at the box. Can I open it? She asked. Please do, replied Naruto. Hinata then undid the red bow that held the lid on the sandy-colored box and carefully pulled then lid off. Inside it was a kimono. She lifted it out and looked at the fox printed on left breast. Then she turned it round, and on the back was a larger fox with 4 tails in the shape of a circle. Within the fox was a kanji that read Sei, or the Chosen. And on seeing this, Hinata promptly fainted. Naruto walked over to her and picked up the kimono, carefully putting it back in its box and moved the box off the bed. Then he gently picked Hinata up and laid her on the bed. He went and got a shower. An hour later, still at the hotel room. Naruto had taken a shower and dried off, then had selected some new clothing to wear. His choice was a black t-shirt with a skull and kunai printed on it in red and black loose-fitting trousers. He had also bought new shoes but didn't put any on, instead deciding that it was best if he got on with some training. He sat on the floor and crossed his legs and summoned 3 clones. He produced 2 water balloons, and whilst 2 clones got on with trying to burst the balloon using chakra, the 3rd clone and the real Naruto put the palms of their hands together and started working on chakra control. 30 minutes later, still in the hotel. Hinata was still lying unconscious on her bed, and Naruto decided that it would be better if he woke her up. So dispersing his clones, he got up slowly with the burst of knowledge generated by the clones and walked over to Hinata's bed. He kneeled down beside it and leaned over her. Bending his head, he gently pressed his lips to hers and kissed her softly. After a few moments, Hinata awoke and started to return the kiss. Naruto slowly opened his mouth and brushed his tongue against her lips. She responded by opening her mouth and allowing his tongue to enter whilst lifting her arms up and wrapping them around him. After about a minute, they broke the kiss, but Hinata kept her arms around Naruto. You really do know the best way to wake me up gently, don't you? She stated rather than queried. Glad you like it, and by your reaction, I'd say you like my gift to you, he replied. I do, but I really wish you hadn't have got it for my. How did you find such a rare item as that? She asked curiously. Naruto looked away sheepishly. I didn't find it. Like I said, I took a note of your sizes whilst paying for things and had it custom made for you, he said, blushing heavily. Hinata was shocked. Her face flushed crimson as she realized that Naruto really did care for her. She knew how expensive things like that were. Most ninja couldn't afford it if they only did C and D ranked missions, but she remembered Naruto's team had been receiving a lot of back pay from their escort mission in which they had come up against Zabuza. Momochi, a powerful missing ninja from the Hidden Mist Village, whilst the original mission rank had been C, it turned into an A rank quite quickly, and Tazuna, the man they had been escorting, had agreed that if they helped him get home and protected him till the bridge was complete, he and the village would be able to pay the costs for an A rank mission, but couldn't do it unless the bridge was completed. He had also been informed by the Hokage that because of his efforts in defeating both Orochimaru and Shikaku, he would receive pay equal to that of an S-rank mission, and the other 3 that defeated Orochimaru with him would receive pay equal to an A-rank mission, so it made sense that he would be able to buy these things for her. Much as he ate, she knew his meals didn't cost all that much, and since he was hardly ever in, she suspected that he hardly need any electricity or gas, if he needed any gas at all, so with little cost in bills and food, she realized that he had probably saved up quite a bit of money. You really shouldn't have, Naruto, she said, still blushing heavily. But thank you. She smiled warmly and hugged Naruto tightly. Then both hers and Naruto's stomachs growled. Maybe we should go eat. In all the excitement, we haven't eaten since this morning, said Naruto, helping Hinata up off the bed. Then they left the hotel and went looking for a place to eat. Hinata was expecting Naruto to choose, but he once again surprised her. So what do you want to eat? He asked. She hadn't really given any thought to what she wanted. Her thoughts had been to just let him choose and then work from there. She saw a restaurant that looked interesting. I'm not sure, why don't we look and see what they have? She said, pointing to the restaurant. Sure, said Naruto, and they walked over to look at the menu. To the surprise of both of them, it contained dishes from another country. This isn't what we're used to. Should we try to find something else that we know we like? Asked Hinata, a little worried that they wouldn't like what they ordered. Nope. I say we give it a shot, replied Naruto, smiling. He then grabbed Hinata's hand and walked into the restaurant. 2 hours later, back at the hotel. There was a knock at their door. Naruto got up and answered it to find Jiraiya standing on the other side. Now then, Naruto, Hinata, I found information regarding Tsunade's location, so we're heading off. I trust you're ready to go, said Jiraiya. Finally, it's about time. Come on, Hinata, let's get going, said Naruto, picking up his bag. Hinata then followed suit and they left the room. went to the reception and paid then left. 3 hours later, on the road towards where Jiraiya's information says Tsunade might be. Pop came from behind Jiraiya. He quickly started to turn round when again he hastened his turn to see that both Naruto's and Hinata's hands were wet and they were holding the remains of the balloons. Here, do it again, he said, handing them new water balloons. Pop went both balloons at the same time. Jiraiya was surprised but carefully hid it. Who popped it first? He asked. Naruto looked at Hinata, who was blushing lightly. That was great, Hinata. You beat me fair and square, said Naruto smiling, earning an even stronger blush from Hinata. Yes, well done both of you. Now then on to the second stage, and since it hasn't even taken you 24 hours to master that one, I'm going to leave those seals on you. Believe me, it will be worth it in the long run, said Jiraiya, pulling out 2 small rubber balls. What are these for? Asked Naruto, looking at the ball with a confused expression on his face. Try popping them the same way as you did with the balloons, said Jiraiya. Then both Naruto and Hinata tried to pop the balloons but found they couldn't. It won't work, we need to put more chakra in, said Hinata. Jiraiya smiled. That's right, you're going to have to put more chakra into it but still maintain control of it to be able to burst these. It will help with your chakra capacity as well as your chakra control, said Jiraiya. Here's another tip, kid, since he doesn't seem inclined to give it to you. You need to spin your chakra in more than one direction, otherwise the final technique won't work, said the voice. Okay. Thanks, I'll tell Hinata when we get moving again, replied Naruto. Jiraiya then turned around and started walking again, so Naruto moved over to Hinata and quietly spoke to her. I think it will be easier to burst them if we spin our chakra in more than one direction. I'm going to try and manage as many directions as I can, said Naruto. Okay, Naruto, I'll try that too, said Hinata. They then continued walking and caught up to Jiraiya. 24 hours later, a small restaurant near their hotel. Okay, so our old comrade came to see you yesterday, and you say that both his arms were useless? Any idea what happened to them? Asked Jiraiya, looking at the woman sitting across from him. She looked to be in her mid to late 20s with long blonde hair and a more than ample bust. Next to her was a woman who looked to be in her early 20s with short black hair, and a more modest bust size. In her lap was a small pig wearing a black waistcoat and a pearl necklace. No clue, but it was no normal injury. They looked as though they were dying from the inside out. I've never seen anything like it, replied the woman, taking a sip of sake from her cup. What did he offer you, Tsunade? Asked Jiraiya. The woman poured another cup of sake and drank it in one swallow before answering. To revive Nawaki and Dan in exchange for fixing his arms. I still can't imagine what could have caused it though, replied the woman. I know what caused it, said Naruto. Tsunade looked skeptically at him. I really doubt you do, kid, she said. Naruto just smiled. Well, how does cutting off all the chakra points in the body right down to the chakra center sound as way to do it? Said Naruto. Tsunade looked at him blankly and then burst out laughing. There is no way that you could have done that, only a Hyuga would have any chance at that, said Tsunade, breathing heavily. Funny you should say that, because it was a one Niji Hyuga that did the damage after he'd been trapped in a few layers of powerful Genjutsu and Mangekyo Sharingan's Tsukuyami, said Naruto, smiling. Tsunade looked at him curiously. She couldn't quite work out whether he was lying, joking, or telling the truth. He's telling the truth, Tsunade. Naruto here and 3 other genin took out Orochimaru. Of the other 3, 2 are considered highly gifted and the third is a true genius with an IQ of over 200, said Jiraiya seriously. Oh really, and who were these 3 great genin? Asked Tsunade. Shikamaru Nara, Niji Hyuga and Sasuke Uchiha. Niji and Sasuke were both using more powerful forms of their Kekkei Genkai thanks to Naruto here. Have a close look at Hinata's eyes too, said Jiraiya. Tsunade looked shocked. She then took a close look at Hinata's eyes and reeled back in shock. Those eyes, they're Junkagen, I didn't know it was possible to get them. How did you get them, girl? Demanded Tsunade. Hinata was a little upset at being called girl, and sitting next to Naruto gave her the courage to do something about it. My name isn't girl, it's Hinata Hyuga, thank you, and I got these eyes because Naruto strengthened my Byakugan, replied Hinata. How did you manage to do that? Demanded Tsunade, talking to Naruto, who simply closed his eyes and reopened them a moment later to reveal his Fuengen. Because I'm an Uzumaki and I can use the Fuengen, my family's Kekkei Genkai, said Naruto, smiling. Tsunade was shocked. She looked at the bright blue's eyes decorated with 5 stars and couldn't believe it, but she knew it wasn't a trick because she would have seen it in his eyes before if it were. I thought the last of the Uzumakis died when the fox attacked 12 years ago, said Tsunade to Jiraiya. Well, the last was Naruto, who is now the jailer of the fox, replied Jiraiya. You're the container of the Kyubi no Yoko? asked Tsunade, shocked at the revelation. Naruto dropped his head slightly and Hinata wrapped her arm round his waist. "Yes, I am, and I intend to become Hokage to get the respect of the village," said Naruto, determination blatant in his voice. Hinata smiled and blushed lightly, always happy to see the boundless confidence and determination that Naruto had. "Ha, only a fool would take that position. After all, every Hokage has died pointlessly," scoffed Tsunade. "Actually, Tsunade, we aren't here because Sarutobi-sensei is dead. In fact, he's very much alive thanks to Naruto," said Jiraiya. "I won't have anyone disrespect the old man or the fourth like that, you old hag," said Naruto. "Oh really? Let's take this outside then," said Tsunade, standing up. Naruto followed suit and they walked out into the street followed by Jiraiya, Hinata, the black-haired woman, and the pig. "So you really think you can match me, kid?" said Tsunade. "I don't think I can. I know I can," replied Naruto, smiling. The next thing Tsunade knew, Naruto was running at her with a kunai in hand. She swiftly dodged and kicked at him, which he just barely avoided. Then she took note of something. It was only just out of place, and normally she wouldn't have noticed it being too wrapped up in the fight. But something in the back of her mind told her to look. The three ninja and the pig weren't moving. They were still looking at where she and Naruto had been, not where they were. "Damn it, he's already got me in a genjutsu," thought Tsunade. She quickly tried to dispel the genjutsu, only for it to be replaced by Naruto and what she thought were two illusions charging at her. She quickly analyzed her options. First one was likely to be a feint, typical of a genin. Then the second or third would be the real one. Best way to tell would be to throw a stone at each of the other two. Whichever it went through was the illusion. She ignored the first and readied herself to kick a stone at each of the other two, but never got the chance as the first one punched her and knocked her back several feet. Then the second came in. Again she expected it to pass straight through her, and again she was hit and knocked back several feet. "Damn, how does he know the shadow clone technique? Only one thing to do now, and that's hit them all," she thought as the third came in for its attack. She moved back to avoid the punch and hit it straight in the gut, causing it to poof into smoke. Then another attack came out of the smoke and knocked her back again. "Shit, he's good. Even Orochimaru never thought to use the smoke as a cover to attack again. It's so obvious it can't fail, you don't even think of it till you've been hit," she thought, moving back to avoid another strike. Back to back. Back to reality. Sorry, couldn't resist. Neither Naruto nor Tsunade had actually moved. Naruto was just standing smiling, and Tsunade looked a hair's breadth from sleep. "What's happening?" asked the black-haired woman. "Oh, nothing much. Naruto's just got her caught in a genjutsu, my guess. She's got 2 or 3 layers to break through yet, and when she's on the last layer, Naruto will prepare an attack so that as soon as she breaks the last one, he'll have the advantage," replied Jiraiya. "No way, he's that good with genjutsu?" asked the woman. "He doesn't have to be. It's part of his Kekkei Genkai," Jiraiya informed her. "In the genjutsu? Wait a minute, I've destroyed 4 clones already and I've not seen where they're coming from. This has to be another genjutsu. How on earth? It's probably got another layer after this," thought Tsunade, and quickly dispelled the genjutsu again. This time she was faced with 5 clones. She tried to dispel the genjutsu again, but it didn't work. "No way, he only put up 2 layers. Something's not right here," she thought. Meanwhile, Naruto started charging up chakra in his right hand, spinning it faster and faster, adding various directions to it. "No way, he's advanced that far with it. I wonder if she's at the same level," thought Jiraiya, glancing at Hinata. Then Naruto started running forwards and broke the genjutsu himself. Tsunade only barely had enough time to get out of the way as he slammed it into the ground where she had been standing. "Hold on, Jiraiya, you're teaching him that technique. No wonder his head is filled with dreams of becoming Hokage. You know only you and the fourth can use it," said Tsunade, rather miffed that Jiraiya was teaching him a technique that he knew the boy couldn't master. "He had those dreams already, and besides, he's gotten to that level in just 2 days. Hinata, can you show me how far you've come?" asked Jiraiya, handing her a rubber ball. She then focused her chakra and repeated the same process Naruto had and popped the ball. "That's what I thought. They've both made it that far in the same length of time, and they've got a chakra disturbing seal on them as well as wearing chakra absorbing vests and weights," said Jiraiya plainly. "It doesn't matter, they still won't be able to master it," said Tsunade. "I'll master it in 3 days flat." "No problem," said Naruto. Tsunade looked at him as though he should be taken away by the lovely men in white coats and locked in a nice padded cell. "They're so much fun. How about we make a little wager then? I'll give you 5 days to master the technique. If you can do it, I'll give you this necklace, once owned by my grandfather, the first Hokage," said Tsunade, feeling pretty confident that there was no way Naruto could master the jutsu. "I don't really want the necklace, but I'll take it anyway, and if I win, I also get to call you Bachan, Obachan, and any other similar names I feel like," replied Naruto, smiling broadly. "Fine. Come on, Shizune," said Tsunade, walking away. "Bye," said Shizune quickly, following after Tsunade. still carrying the little pig. Later that evening, Shizen came to Naruto and Hinata's hotel room and told them about the curse of the necklace. That may be the case, Shizen, but I know that's not going to happen to me, said Naruto. Shizen was shocked. She couldn't work out how he could be so confident. How can you say that? She almost screamed. Naruto wasn't too surprised, he half expected that. Hinata was a little shocked though. You said she would never bet it, and yet for some reason she decided to, and it wasn't just because she thinks it's impossible. Something tells me she not only thought it might be possible but might also be likely. The first had no problem wearing it, and nor does Tsunade. If my guess is right, the necklace chooses its wearer, and I think that's why Tsunade chose to bet. Either she thinks it will accept me or it influenced her because it has chosen me. Regardless, I intend to win that necklace, said Naruto, smiling. Shizen was shocked. She hadn't even given those possibilities a thought, but when she thought about it, the kid might actually be right. Tsunade wasn't known for making bets like this one and had never bet the necklace before. The last two people she had given it to, they hadn't done anything to earn it, but Naruto was different. He was going to earn it, and maybe the necklace did know, and if he succeeded it would accept him because he had earned it rather than be given it, and it was no easy feat to win the bet that Tsunade had laid down for him. Shizen left the hotel room. Things didn't really make sense anymore. Tsunade had done something she had never expected her to, and now this boy. She could see that Tsunade saw something of her younger brother Nawaki in him, but he had also given her a lot to think about. She would never blame Tsunade for giving her uncle the necklace. She knew that Tsunade thought it would help him accomplish his dream, but to think that Naruto may actually be right, for some reason that she couldn't quite explain, even she was hoping he was right, and now she was also willing him to win the bet. The next 2 days were spent with Naruto and Hinata practicing the jutsu and Jiraiya, watching Tsunade gamble whilst discussing a plan for taking on Orochimaru. Third day, early morning, Jiraiya's hotel room. Hey Erosenin, how exactly are we supposed to master it at all if we haven't even seen the final form? Whined Naruto. True, I suppose I should really show you the completed form in action at least once. Okay, meet me at the woods outside of town in 1 hour, said Jiraiya. Alright, see you there, replied Naruto, running back to his and Hinata's room. Arriving at his and Hinata's room, Naruto opened the door and was met with quite the sight. Hinata had just come back into the main room after taking a shower, as both she and Naruto had expected it to take a while for him to convince Jiraiya to show them the jutsu. She was standing beside her bed wearing only a towel. It started just above her breasts and finished just below her crotch. The sight instantly caused Naruto to turn crimson, get a nosebleed, and promptly pass out in the space of a split second. Hinata turned crimson, but managed to stay composed enough to quickly get dried and dressed before she checked to see if Naruto was alright. Her first thought had been to quickly run over and check if he was alright, but in all likelihood, she realized, that would have most likely caused the towel to fall off and would probably mean she would wake Naruto for him to get a good view of her birthday suit, which she wasn't quite ready for. Around 10 minutes later, Hinata finally managed to wake Naruto. It took a further 5 minutes to stop his nosebleed due to the image still being fresh in his mind. Then he remembered why he'd come back to the room. Oh yeah, Hinata, Erosenin said to meet him in the woods outside of town and he'll show us the jutsu. He said to meet him there in an hour, but since I no longer have any idea how much time has passed, I think we best go there now. We can practice as easily there as we can here, said Naruto. Okay, Naruto, said Hinata. They then left the room and headed for the woods. 40 minutes later, the woods outside the town. Hey Erosenin, hurry up and show us this technique, said Naruto as Jiraiya came into view. Alright already, I'm coming, said Jiraiya. Took your time, said Naruto. Yeah, well, now then, the technique is very powerful and quite complex, so listen carefully. It is created by spinning your chakra very quickly in a number of directions at the same time, but the most important part of it is that in order to gain its full potential, you must be able to keep it in a small space and pack it with chakra. By making the chakra as compressed as possible, it allows the final technique to plow through something without losing its shape or its power. Watch, said Jiraiya. He quickly prepared a ball of spinning chakra in his right hand, but it seemed as though quite a lot of chakra was escaping. He then pushed it into the side of a tree. It created a small indentation in the tree and a swirl of damaged bark around it. That's what happens when you use the Rasengan at the level you two are up to at the moment. This, however, is what the full version does, continued Jiraiya, this time forming another ball of chakra, but this one was much denser. The chakra was spinning in more directions and it lost hardly any chakra. Naruto and Hinata both quickly activated their Byakugan and watched carefully as Jiraiya thrust his arm forward into the same part of the tree, but this time, instead of quickly dissipating and doing only superficial damage to the tree, it dug into the tree, cutting into it and easily through it before Jiraiya made it dissipate. I trust you see the difference. Now then, if you practice the technique with these, you'll be able to get it to full strength, said Jiraiya, handing each of them 2 bags of balloons. Why do we need these, Erosenin? asked Naruto, rather confused. Stop calling me that, shouted Jiraiya. Anyway, you need to create the Rasengan as you have with the water balloon and the rubber ball, but this time instead of trying to pop it, you're trying to make it as powerful as possible without the balloon popping, he explained. Okay then, this should be easy, said Naruto, and when are you going to take these seals off, Erosenin? You said you'd take him off if we could get to the second stage within 2 days, and instead we completed the second stage in 2 days and you've still left them on. Whined Naruto. Jiraiya sighed. He was going to have to let that one slide completely, as he had completely forgotten about the seals, and with Orochimaru coming back for an answer in just 3 days, they were going to need them taken them off sooner rather than later to allow the two to adapt to their new chakra levels, as well as taking the weights and vests off the day before, otherwise they'd have no chakra to fight with. All right, lift up your shirts again, said Jiraiya, preparing the counter seal on each hand. He then repeated the same procedure as he had with Naruto the first time and removed the seals, also sending both kids back 5 feet into a set of bushes. Damn it, Erosenin, isn't there a better way to take them off? Asked Naruto as he dragged himself out of the bush he landed in. He then walked over to where Hinata had landed and helped her get out. Jiraiya sighed. No, I'm afraid there isn't. Now then, I suggest you hurry up and get practicing, as you only have 2 days left to master it if you intend to win the bet, said Jiraiya as he turned and walked away. Naruto and Hinata again started practicing the Rasengan, but found that they were in fact much further ahead than they thought they were. With the removal of the seals, their chakra molded easily and formed with much more power than it had been. But they still felt the drain of the weights and vests, but with newfound chakra and determination they got to work on mastering the technique. The next morning, Naruto and Hinata's hotel room. A knock on the door woke Hinata from what could only be described as a light slumber that's just trying to delay getting out of bed. She had slept very well, and with having gotten a full night's rest had initially awoken around 20 minutes ago, but unwilling to leave the comforts of the blankets, she had instead drifted lightly in and out of sleep. Annoyed, she slowly dragged herself out of bed and walked to the door and opened it, to find Jiraiya on the other side. Good morning, Hinata, said the Sannin with a warm smile on his face. Good morning, Erosenin, replied Hinata. Jiraiya decided that due to events past, that will not be detailed as they have no relevance to the story, she would be allowed to call him that, even if he was going to continually try and persuade Naruto to stop calling him that. I have information for you. From today until I say otherwise, both you and Naruto will not wear the vests, but I'm going to increase the weight you're carrying. In an emergency, and only in emergency, you may remove the weights. In 2 hours you and Naruto are to meet myself, Tsunade, and Shizune at the restaurant 2 doors down from here. There we will go over the plan that me and Tsunade have devised to take on Orochimaru, said Jiraiya. Okay, but shouldn't I wake Naruto for you to tell him that too? Asked Hinata. No, I want you to sort yourself out first, then wake him up. Whilst I will admit to enjoying my life, I will also admit that it is not the best road to take, and wherever possible, I'd like to make sure that such temptations aren't there for him to experience. Particularly now that he has you, it would be a mistake he would regret for a lifetime if he did something like that and it caused you to leave, replied the Sannin. This surprised Hinata, and she thought she heard some regret in his voice. You sound like you speak from experience, Jiraiya-sensei, she said. Yes, unfortunately I do. I've only had one opportunity, and if it hadn't been for my antics I probably wouldn't have made such a mess of it. But that's in the past now. Sort yourself out and pass on the message. I'll increase the weight now and I'll see you in 2 hours, said Jiraiya, making 3 hand seals. Hinata instantly felt the extra weight on her limbs. Thank you, Jiraiya-sensei. See you in 2 hours, replied Hinata, closing the door as the Sannin walked away. Hinata then did as Jiraiya instructed and removed her chakra-draining vest, the weights slowing her down slightly as she still needed to get used to them. Naruto, still blissfully ignorant of the weight increase away in Sleepyland. She then sorted herself out, taking a shower and getting dressed in around half an hour, and then woke Naruto up. She then informed him of what Jiraiya had said, leaving nothing out. Naruto taking great note regarding the avoidance of Jiraiya's own mistake and silently vowing to ensure he did not make that same mistake with Hinata. She then left to go and walk around for a while to get used to the new weight she was having to carry. While she was a relatively skilled ninja, she lacked the physical strength to excel in taijutsu, which was fortunate as the gentle fist style of the Hyuga clan did not require great physical strength. Naruto sorted himself out and they met 45 minutes before they were due to meet Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune at the hotel restaurant to have breakfast. Konoha, on top of the Hokage monument. A cloaked figure slowly emerged from the same tunnel as Naruto had just a few days prior. They stood around 6 feet tall, but their true stature, whilst not massive, was well hidden by the black cloak that shrouded them. The back of the cloak bore the Konoha insignia in white, and the only other visible thing were the black ninja sandals they wore. The figure walked to the top of the Hokage monument and looked over the village. It's good to be home, said a light adult male voice to no one in particular. At the restaurant, Naruto and Hinata walked through the door and seeing Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Shizune they walked over to the table and sat down. The mood at the table was somber to say the least. If the tension had been any thinker you would have needed a chainsaw to cut through it. The sharp knives had already gone blunt. "Alright, so what's the plan?" asked Naruto as he sat down, looking from one Sannin to the other and back again. "The plan is simple enough. Can you summon Gamakichi for me, please?" Naruto replied Jiraiya. "Okay. But I won't just summon him," said Naruto quickly going off the hand seals of the summoning jutsu, and then repeating them twin summoning, he said slamming both hands onto the table. As the smoke cleared, two small animals could be seen in front of him. "Hey, Naruto," said Gamakichi. "Hey, Naruto Hinata!" cried out Byakugan, dashing into Hinata's waiting arms. Tsunade and Shizune were speechless. As far as they knew, no one could summon foxes. "Yes, I have the summoning contract for foxes. It seems to have been a side effect from signing the toad summoning contract. All I can think is that the Kyuubi's influence extends into my blood, and in signing the contract I also created one for foxes. Hinata can summon them as well. I decided to see what happened if I acted as though I was creating a summoning contract with the animal using my blood, instead after accidentally summoning the first one," Naruto said, shrugging, but fortunately Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Shizune bought it. Hinata, on the other hand, could tell it was a lie and decided to get the truth from him later. "Well, regardless of the fact, Gamakichi, you have a younger brother, don't you?" asked Jiraiya. "Sure, Jiraiya, why do you ask?" asked the toad, very curious. "Well, the plan is that tonight Tsunade is going to give me a drug to disrupt my chakra control, so chances are I'll only be able to summon either you or your brother Gamatetsu. There is an anti-drug, but it needs 30 minutes to work, so the plan is to keep them guessing. We know the time we need and what to do, so I'll summon you, then Naruto will summon Gamatetsu and Hinata will summon Byakugan here. Shizune hasn't signed a summoning contract and so has no companion to summon. We know Tsunade is over her fear of blood, but we plan on making them think she isn't. We'll lure them deeper and deeper into a sense of false security so that when the time is right we can strike hard and fast and hopefully take them out for good, although I doubt it. When the time is right I'll summon your father Gamabunta." "Naruto, I'm guessing you have a large fox summon?" asked Jiraiya. "Yeah, Arasu, he's about as powerful as Hakamogi, the eight-tailed chameleon demon," replied Naruto, smiling. "Good. 'Cause you'll be summoning him, and Tsunade will summon Katsuyu, the Slug Queen. We need to wait till he summons Manda, though otherwise we won't have a good shot and any advantage we had will disappear." "Hinata, Shizune, I think that Orochimaru's subordinate, whoever he is, will be there too. We need you two to keep him occupied so that we can get our best shot at Orochimaru." "Right," said Shizune. "Okay," said Hinata. "You can do it, Hinata," said Naruto, smiling. Hinata blushed lightly, but as always was filled with confidence and a determination to put everything she had into the task presented to her. "Alright then, tomorrow morning Tsunade will go and meet Orochimaru as planned. We'll follow behind and join the battle as soon as we can. Remember to be ready to deviate from the plan and improvise if things start to go differently. Make your decisions and stick with them. There is no time for second guessing. Trust your instincts and hopefully you won't go far wrong," said Jiraiya. Then Naruto and Hinata got up and left, whilst Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune sat and talked over various things. Whilst they had a meal, Gamakichi and Byakugan followed Hinata and Naruto. Naruto and Hinata had decided to head to the forest just outside the town and continue their training. "They certainly seem to be getting better. It's taking longer for the balloons to pop with each try," said Gamakichi. "Yeah, but I think they may still be a way away from getting it right," replied Byakugan as the two creatures sat on the edge of the clearing they were in and watched the two genin practice. Hinata seemed to be able to hold it for a little longer than Naruto but couldn't put as much power into it. Naruto was putting so much power in on one occasion he had knocked himself back 3 feet and taken the top off a nearby bush. Fortunately, Hinata had been standing in line with him around 6 feet behind him, so she hadn't been hurt. For a further half an hour the two little creatures watched the genin practice. They heard another 2 pops as the balloons burst, then as expected about a minute later they heard a pop but no second pop. They waited another minute then looked at the two kids. Hinata was holding a balloon in her hand. It was obvious there was chakra spinning in it because of the movements it made, but it didn't pop. She held it like that for about 5 minutes before letting the chakra dissipate, still without popping. The balloon. "Awesome, Hinata, you've done it, and inside 5 days too," said Naruto, ecstatic at Hinata's success. Hinata, however, wasn't entirely as pleased as he was. "Why yes, but I still can't get it anywhere near as powerful as you can, Naruto," she said with a slight blush on her cheeks and looking at the floor. "Don't worry about that, Hinata. I've got a much higher chakra store than anyone else in our teams, including the sensei. I can afford to use the extra chakra to make it more powerful because even afterwards I've still got more left than most would start with. You saw how little I used compared to Sasuke, and the technique I used was more powerful than the one he was using. Anyway, I think it's time I taught you a technique of mine. It will help you in future both in battle and in training. It's the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Everything your clones learn is passed back to you when they are dispersed or destroyed, said Naruto. He then spent the next hour and a half teaching the jutsu to Hinata whilst 4 of his own clones practiced the Rasengan. An hour and a half later. Hey Naruto, look, that clone of yours has managed it, said Gamakichi, pointing his leg and foot at a clone holding a stable Rasengan. Naruto first looked at him and then at the clone he was pointing at. Alright, I think that'll do for today then, said Naruto, getting up. He then dispersed the clones and felt a little dizzy from the rush of knowledge he gained. He then helped Hinata up and got a very solemn look on his face. He appeared to be deep in thought. Keeping hold of her hand, they walked hand in hand back to the hotel, followed by Byakugan and Gamakichi, Hinata sporting a light blush on her cheeks, a far cry from what her reaction would have been a week ago, to instantly pass out on contact. Do you remember the technique I used on a number of sound ninja when you were going to face Orochimaru last time? Asked the voice. Yes, why? Asked Naruto. If you remember, I said I would teach you that technique, but with everything that happened I completely forgot. But whilst you were doing your training I did some thinking and decided that I just gift you the technique since you worked so hard to master this one. I think you've earned it. I'll implant the knowledge now, said the voice. Naruto immediately felt the knowledge of how to perform the technique, which he also learned was called the Hikari Yaiba Byu Jutsu. Later that night, the hotel room. Hey Hinata, you want something to eat? I'm gonna order a takeaway from down the road, asked Naruto. Hinata was getting a shower, so he had to raise his voice slightly for her to be able to hear him. Please Naruto, I'll have the same as you, replied Hinata. They dismissed the toad and the fox when they got back to the hotel, and after a couple of hours of talking both on their way back from the area they trained in and in the hotel room, Hinata had finally managed to stop stuttering even when Naruto complimented her or she was a little nervous about a situation or question, at least when she was talking to Naruto anyway. Naruto went into his bag and pulled out a menu he'd picked up on their way back to the hotel and quickly scanned through it. Finding several dishes of interest, he decided he would order them all, so picked up the receiver on the phone and dialed the number on the back of the menu. When the phone was answered, he ordered what he had selected off the menu and told them where to deliver it. Then he hung up and waited for it to be delivered. 20 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Naruto opened it to find the delivery man at the door. He took the food, then pulled out his wallet and paid the man and started to close the door with his foot. Suddenly he had the arm that was at the open part of the door up. The delivery man staggered backward from his fist and out the door. That was stupid, I'm a shinobi. Traveling that slow, you might as well not have bothered, said Naruto. The food now neatly placed on the table at the other end of the room. The man's eyes widened in shock. He had watched the boy and he hadn't seen him move. The boy had seen him move and blocked it, but he hadn't even seen a flicker when the boy put the food on the table. Then he noticed the 3 black strips on each of the boy's cheeks. He remembered hearing 2 ninjas talking in the restaurant one time they had worked for Zabuza Momochi. The demon of the mist, they had spoken about a boy with whisker marks who had been unbelievably powerful, even so much as to cause Zabuza himself trouble. He also remembered them saying he was a pupil of Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja, the son of Konoha's White Fang, as well as overhearing Konoha Shinobi saying that the team he had must have been quite skilled, as it was the first team he'd ever passed and trained anyone. Slowly the man got to his feet, then something else came to mind. Everyone knew that Konoha had done battle with the 9-tailed fox, but some had also said that they created a Jinchuriki, one that wasn't treated as a weapon like the others but was a ninja by their own choice and had gained the respect of many of the Konoha ninja. From pieces of information he gained over time, he learned that all Jinchuriki had something that marked a resemblance to the demon sealed within. It was then that the lines on his cheeks made sense. They didn't just look like whisker marks. They were whisker marks to denote the demon sealed within him. I'm very sorry, I'll be going now, he said, bowing low, fear apparent in his voice. After that encounter he quit his job and changed career, instead deciding that working in a tea house would be much safer. Naruto then closed the door on the blur that had been the man and went back into the room, dispelling the clone he'd made in the process. It had been practicing chakra control when the guy called, and whilst he had his eyes closed from the fist in the face, it had quickly put the food on the table. He went and sorted out the food, laying it out on the table so that when Hinata came out they would be able to start eating right away. 15 minutes later, Hinata came out of the bathroom dressed in some of her new clothes. She wore a red t-shirt that cut off at the top of her stomach with a skeleton with a mohawk holding a kunai in each hand printed on it in black and the words, "When death comes knocking, just kick him in the nuts," written on the back. Her pants were dark blue tight-fitting shorts that cut off just above the knee. The influence Naruto had had on her confidence was obvious. Her clothes were a far cry from what she once would have worn, and most would never have ever thought that she would wear the clothes she had on. "What did you order, Naruto?" she asked, walking towards him. He turned to look at her and smiled at the clothes she had on. He had wondered what Haishir would think when he saw most of her clothes, but he wasn't too concerned. Hinata's confidence boost had done more than just change her choice in clothing. Her skills had improved greatly as now she was less bothered about getting it perfect and more bothered about just doing roughly right. Naruto wasn't the best judge, but as far as he could tell, her forms were nearly flawless. She had also started to develop something similar to Niji's 8 trigrams. Heavenly Spin, and adding her new skill into the equation, she was a force to be reckoned with even for most experienced chunin. I got a selection since they only had foreign food. I thought it best so that we could pick and choose. I also figured that there had to be at least something that we'd like. That's duck and plum sauce, that's fish and chips, that's a pizza with tomatoes, mozzarella cheese, ham and pineapple on, and I think that's called chicken tikar masala, said Naruto, pointing to each of the dishes. Hinata had been fortunate enough to have had some of the dishes before, including the dish that Naruto had mutilated the name of. Do you mean chicken tikka masala? She asked him. Yeah, that's it, said Naruto, smiling. He figured Hinata may have had some of them before. As for him, other than on missions, where he'd had whatever Kakashi could find or catch and cook, or soldier pills, the only time he'd eaten something that wasn't ramen was when he'd taken Hinata out on their first date about a week ago. They sat at each end of the table, and Naruto noticed that along with a number of sets of disposable chopsticks, there was so plastic things that he had never seen before. He picked one up and looked at it carefully. To him it looked like a flat stick that widened at one end and then split into 4 branches that ran straight and parallel to each other. Hinata noticed his dilemma. It's called a fork. You use it in combination with this, which is a knife, she said, holding up a knife for him to see. Some of the food you've ordered can't be eaten with chopsticks. The fish can't, so you hold it in place with the fork and then cut it with the knife. The pizza can be eaten with them, but as far as I know, most people find it easier to just pick up a slice of it and eat it by hand, she explained. Naruto seemed to understand what she meant. Oh, okay then, well let's eat, he said, putting the knife down and picking up a pair of chopsticks. He decided it would be best if he started with the duck and plum sauce and the chicken thing since he could use chopsticks for them. 2 hours later. A knock came at the door, so Naruto got up and went to answer it to find Jiraiya on the other side. You two better get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a big day and you're going to need all the energy you can get for it. Orochimaru always was the strongest of us, and I have a feeling that even in this weakened state he's still going to be, though, particularly to begin with, as I'm not going to be at full strength and Tsunade is going to have to take quite a beating before she can really go for them, he said. All right, Ero-senin, we're just going to put the stuff from our dinner away, and then we'll sort ourselves out and get some sleep. See ya, said Naruto as Hinata started putting the cartons inside one another. Okay. Sleep well, replied Jiraiya. Naruto then closed the door and he walked away. He wasn't happy with Naruto calling him that, but he knew it wasn't the time to get angry. He also found it quite strange that they were actually in the room. He had expected to have to go and find them as they'd be in the woods practicing still. Naruto walked back over to the table and helped Hinata clean up. It wasn't that messy, so it only took them a couple of minutes. He decided he'd let Hinata sort herself out first, and then he'd sort himself out. I'll finish this off, Hinata, you going and get ready for bed, he said, picking up the paper plates that had come with the food. Hinata then gathered some things together and went into the bathroom to get ready for bed. After Naruto had finished putting the leftovers in the bin, he collected what he needed and placed them on the end of his bed. He then lay down on his bed and waited for Hinata to finish in the bathroom. Whilst he was lying there, he started thinking about the relationship. The more he thought about it, the more it seemed to him that even if Sakura had agreed to go out with him, the relationship wouldn't last more than a month at best. But he'd only been with Hinata a week and already he couldn't imagine his life without her. He guessed that must have been what it felt like to be in love. After all, he'd never really known that emotion, not even from a parental bond. All he'd ever known was hate, pain, and loneliness. As he thought back on his childhood, even he was amazed he'd stayed in the village, but his resolve was solid. He was going to be Hokage one day and they would have to respect him then. Not that it mattered that much anymore. The way he saw it, all of the rookie 9, 10, Niji and Lee would all be at least Jonin, if not ANBU by that time, and God only helped someone who got on the wrong end of that lot, especially Hinata, if what he thought was right, and he was pretty sure it was, if someone tried to get him and she could stop it, God help them, because no one else would be able to. Then the bathroom door opened and Hinata stepped out, so Naruto picked up his things and walked towards the bathroom door. As he passed Hinata, he stopped, put his hand under her chin and tilting his head down, lightly tilted hers up and kissed her. Hinata blushed hard but returned the kiss. Then he released her lips. I'll be out soon, you just get to sleep, okay, Shinju? The pet name he'd chosen for his pearl in the sand. As he said, of course, on hearing his pet name and reasoning, Hinata instantly fainted. He said to her, looking into her eyes. To him they were absolutely beautiful. He could just stare into those eyes for days and completely lose himself. Okay, Naruto, she said with her face the shade of a tomato. She couldn't find a word to sweet him. There wasn't the word made to express how she felt about him. She then walked over and put her clothes in her bag. They'd sorted out to have a company collect what Naruto had bought for them the next morning at 6:30 a.m., so they wouldn't have to carry it back as it would likely get in the way in a fight. Naruto said he'd speak to the third when they got back and ask him to teach him how to put things into a scroll for easy carrying, but for the moment Hinata sat on her bed and let her mind drift. There was so much that Naruto had already done for her, and she felt as though all she did was get in his way, which she never actually did. Fainted whenever he was nice or kind to her or just cheered him on the sidelines. She knew she wasn't the strongest, the smartest, or the most skilled, but she knew that Naruto had chosen her as much as she had chosen him, and something told her that he wasn't going to let her go without good reason. Her father had even accepted him, which meant we was a suitable candidate for a husband in the long run. She decided not to think on it and also decided what she would do when he came out of the bathroom. The bathroom door opened and Naruto walked out. Like Hinata, he had opted for a change in sleeping clothes. She had chosen a set of black pajamas with a blue swirl on the front and a green one on the back. Naruto's were also black, but on the front of his was the image of a fox and the back had an image of a pearl. He had said that the fox represented him and the pearl represented her. When she had protested about him describing himself as a fox, he had replied that whilst he wasn't the QB, the god of foxes did reside within him, and besides that he was the primary fox summoner, so it made sense regardless of how you looked at it, so she had conceded. Naruto walked over to the bags, put his clothes away and took out a fresh set ready for the morning. Then he walked over and lay on his bed. Hinata then stood up, walked over to his bed and lay down next to him, putting her arm round him as she lay down. Naruto was surprised to say the least. He quickly turned round to face her. "What's the matter, Hinata?" he asked, worried that there was something wrong. He could see a mixture of sadness and happiness in her eyes. Her emotions seemed to be at war. For Hinata, that was exactly what was happening. She was happy lying next to him, but she also felt that she didn't deserve him and that she should just get up and go back to her bed and not even think about this sort of thing ever again. She decided that the only way to calm her emotions was to let him make the decision. "See, can we stay like to this at least for a little while?" she asked him. Sacred, he would say no, and sacred, he would say yes. Naruto pondered the question for only a moment, at least for the moment it took to sink into his brain, but for Hinata it seemed like hours had passed since she asked the question. "Sure, anything for you," he said, putting his arm round her and pulling her closer. He could feel her body pushing up against his and it felt nice. Hinata couldn't have been happier. She pressed her body as close to his as she could. Her eyes were closed and her face had a smile of pure bliss on it. They stayed like that and ended up falling asleep holding each other. At some point in the night, Naruto awoke and found Hinata still holding on to him, so he used his feet and pulled the quilt up from the bottom of the bed and covered them with it. The next morning, Hinata awoke to find herself in Naruto's arms, which was the last thing she expected and something she dreamed of, and thus promptly fainted. Around 10 minutes later, Naruto awoke to find that he was still holding Hinata, as she was him, and along with the smile that she'd had when she went to sleep, she now also had a heavy blush on her face. The only reason he could think of for this was that she had woken up first not too long before and, on realizing the situation, had in fact fainted. He decided to wait and see if she'd wake up soon, and if she did, what her reaction would be. After about 5 minutes, Hinata came round again, but whilst she was at least a little prepared to see a sleeping Naruto in front of her before she opened her eyes, when she opened them to see Naruto's own brilliant blue eyes looking right into hers, with the love she had never expected to see in them apparent as the nose that sat just below them, it was again too much to take, and again she passed out with a blush and a smile. Naruto watched her reaction and smiled. He had seen in her eyes the love he had yearned for all his life and never known, and now he was fairly confident that he was returning that love, at least a little, as he was still unsure as to exactly what love felt like. He decided that he should probably wake her so that they could get ready and sort the clothes out to be taken away. They were to be delivered to the Hyuga residence with instructions that only Hinata or Naruto could open them. The fox had been kind enough to teach Naruto a seal that required the same blood that had been used to create the seal to open it. Apparently it wanted to see the look on Haishi's face as much as Naruto and Hinata did. Naruto had decided that there really was only one suitable way to wake Hinata up, the same way he always did now. He lightly kissed her on the lips, waited for her to return it, and then pulled away after a few moments. Hinata still thought that it was the best possible wake-up she could ever have, and after Naruto pulled away, she slowly opened her eyes. Then her mind gradually put everything together from the last 2 times she had woken up, but fortunately this time she didn't faint. "Did WS asleep, Ella like to this?" she asked, not entirely sure that Naruto hadn't just brought her over earlier to give her a great wake-up. She wasn't bothered if that was all he'd done, but she had to know for sure. "Did you sleep well, my Shinju?" he asked. Hinata suddenly felt very lightheaded even though she was lying down. She had slept in the same bed as Naruto, holding him the whole night. To say she felt like she was on Cloud 9 was an understatement. Cloud 9 seemed to be a long way down from where she was. Why yes. Thank you, Naruto," she replied. She could hardly believe that she had slept right next to him. "Glad to hear it. Now come on, we've got to get ready. They'll be coming to pick up the bags soon and we have to get ready to go," he said, starting to get out of bed. He then thought about the weights that were still around his wrist and ankles. If only there was some way to get them off quickly if I need to, he thought. Then he heard a small chuckle in his head. I may have a solution to that. There is a jutsu I came across a few centuries ago. I've only ever known one clan to use it, and it would seem, from what I've gathered of the world today, that those methods have been lost along with the clan. The clan name was Namikaze, and I've not heard any mention of them in your entire life, or for that matter for the last 100 years before I was sealed in you, which is a shame really. They were a clan that had even earned my respect, and that is not something easily done, said the voice. As he said this, Hinata got out of bed, collected her things, and went into the bathroom. Were they that powerful? Asked Naruto. He was curious as to how a clan could have gained the respect of this most powerful of demons. They were of a reasonable strength. I've come across more powerful, but there were two things that really set them apart. First was their skill for improvisation. Never have I seen a group of people so capable of adjusting to a situation as it unfolded quite like they were. The second was that they were willing to try and talk with and understand anything. They believed that fighting should be the last resort, and they even reasoned with me. It was the only time I found a human that actually seemed worth talking to. He challenged me to a game of my choosing, and as long as he was given time to understand the rules properly, he asked that it should take the place of the battle. If he could win, then I was to leave and never harm the village. If he lost, then it was my choice as to what happened, whether I left the village harming none or left it as a ruin, said the voice, apparently lost in the memory. So what happened? Asked Naruto. He had never heard the beast speak of anything fondly, but it seemed quite fond of this. We played a game that he hadn't heard of called chess. I took it easy the first game, playing it quickly to allow him to get used to the rules. Then we played for real. The game lasted for several days and nights, and it ended in a stalemate. He should have lost several times, but as I said, they were a people capable of great improvisation, and he always found some way to keep me at bay. But that's enough of my reminiscing. Now then, the jutsu is very simple, requiring only 3 hand seals and a burst of chakra to release them, but it also requires that the hand seals and a small amount of your chakra be put into the weights before you need to use it. So if you put it in now, then it will be there to use when you need it. It's called the Kaju Kaijo Jutsu, said the voice. So are you saying I have to do the jutsu twice to make it work? Asked Naruto, somewhat confused. Not exactly. You do it once at a time, like now when you don't need it, and put just a small amount in. Then when you actually need to use it, you perform it the second time, letting out a bigger burst of chakra. The first burst finds the release method for the weights and gets it ready so that it can be released at a moment's notice. The second burst then causes the first to release it, and depending on how much chakra you put in will do anything from just release them to pushing them so far from your body you've no chance of ever finding them again, the voice explained. Oh, so it's a 2-stage method. It makes sense now. I'm guessing that it could be done with just one use of the seals and one burst of chakra, but it would take longer to release them, right? Replied Naruto. Got it in one, replied the voice. Naruto then performed the hand seals that came into his head and pushed a small amount of chakra into the weights on his ankles and wrists. Should I teach it to Hinata? Naruto asked. He thought it best that she knew it as well. Yes, she may need it more than you, replied the voice. Naruto then started gathering the bags together whilst he waited for Hinata to come out of the bathroom. Around 5 minutes later, he finished putting the bags together, and then he heard the click of the bathroom door. The door opened and Hinata walked out wearing the forest camouflage uniform. She walked up to Naruto and gave him a light peck on the cheek. Your turn, she said, walking past him to her backpack. Hold on, Hinata. I've got something to teach you, said Naruto, quickly turning around. She was surprised but always happy to learn something new, particularly when Naruto was her teacher. What is it? She asked. Well, I gave some thought to quickly releasing these weights. Right now it would take too long to take them off, so the fox decided to teach me something he knew to take them off quickly. It works in 2 stages. The first is to do 3 hand seals and put a small amount of chakra into the weights. This gets them ready to be released quickly without actually releasing them. The second is to do the same thing when you need to take them off, but instead of only putting a small amount in, you put a bigger burst in. Depending on how much you put in depends on how far from your body they move. Not much chakra and they only release a lot of chakra, and they fly a long way and you mightn't be able to find them again, he explained. Okay then, show me, she said, determined that she would learn this technique in case she had to help him. She wanted to make sure that if she had to help him, she would do everything she possibly could to do so. She would go to the end of the earth or master an advanced jutsu in a moment, whatever it took to save him. Naruto then slowly showed her the 3 hand seals needed for the jutsu. Once he'd finished, she repeated the seals and pushed a small amount of chakra into the weights on her wrists and ankles. This technique is called the Kaju Kaijo Jutsu. If we were going to listen to Jiraiya's advice, without this we might as well not wear them because they would more likely cost us our lives. At least with this we can take them off in an instant, said Naruto. He then turned around and went into the bathroom to get himself ready for the day. Unlike Hinata, he had chosen not to wear the camouflage uniform, figuring that it wouldn't do much good in a head-on fight, and instead elected for some clothes he'd gotten at a shinobi store. There was only one in the small town, but all the equipment it carried was very rare and of the highest quality. Flashback mode active. Naruto and Hinata were looking around the store. Naruto had already selected several types of shuriken and collected over 100 of each. He had also found some very interesting kunai. From what he could gather from the tag under them, they were made of a metal that was designed to allow chakra to follow easily through it and gather in it, meaning that less was needed. He had added around 50 of those to the steadily growing pile of equipment, which also include high tensile trap wire, 3 leg holsters for his kunai, a belt capable of holding his weight, Hinata's, Jiraiya's, Tsunade's, Shizun's, and Kakashi's if it had 2, as well as 3 kunai holsters, 2 shuriken holsters, and 2 utility pouches for it. He had also found a selection of clothes including a particular type that caught his eye. The information with them said they were as strong as steel and lighter than cotton. It also said they would adapt to the wearer and fit them almost like a second skin. Naruto had decided that he would buy 7 sets for himself and another 7 for Hinata. He had also had some customizations made to 2 sets of each. The front of his had a 4-tailed fox on the right breast and kanji reading fox summoner on the back, whilst Hinata's had a pearl on the left breast pocket and the words Kageyako Hikari, or shining light, on the back. In the store there was also a selection of other weapons. Naruto had carefully looked through and found several weapons to be of interest. First there was the Jo staff. It went up to about the height of his chest, but he could tell that it would be of more use when he was older. The second weapon was unusual to him, but he thought it looked like it could be a fine weapon and failing that a good wall ornament. It was around the same height as the Jo staff, but unlike the Jo, it curved round to fit comfortably round the hips. The owner of the shop said it was called a Kyokuken staff. He then found 2 weapon sets right next to each other and figured, rightly, that they were probably well suited to work as a set. To him the tantos didn't look to be much use, being quite short, not much longer than a big kunai in fact, but decided to get 1 set of the wakazashis as they looked like they would be very effective. Whilst he was walking round, he noticed that Hinata kept quickly moving round and going back to the spot, stood there for around 5 minutes and then would walk round again for 2 minutes, hardly paying attention to anything, and end up back in the same spot. He decided to go and see what she was looking at, so when she got back to the same spot after another 2-minute walk, he went to the row behind her, which the top of was lower than his head. He saw her looking up at something on the wall and followed her gaze, which led him to a beautifully crafted scythe. The handle was a matte black with spirits carved into it running from top to bottom. The handles were curved and crafted to sit comfortably in the hand. Each had a skull carefully crafted into the end. The blade was also very well crafted and made from a strange black metal that looked, to Naruto at least, as though it absorbed light. Naruto waited patiently for Hinata to finish looking and begin her walk again. Then he slowly made his way to it, taking care to make it seem as though he actually was looking. He could already tell that Hinata was trying to not let him know she was interested in it, so she made sure to stay away from it and him so as not to arouse suspicion. Naruto arrived at the scythe and found the information. According to the card, it was a unique design that was very hard to craft. It adjusted to the height of the user and continued to do so throughout their life. The blade was made from a metal called Fusihikari, which absorbed a small amount of light but could take chakra used in an opponent's attack, and when done correctly allowed the wielder to use that chakra for a jutsu of their own. Naruto moved away and found another item of use to him. It was a pack of small cards that when you focused some chakra into them would tell you your elemental chakra affiliation. He decided that it would be a good idea to get a pack so that he and Hinata could check their elements. Then he walked over to the counter and spoke to the manager about the scythe. He asked the manager how many they had in. The manager said they had 3. Then he asked how much they cost. The manager had replied that they normally cost around 2,500,000 Ryo, but since Naruto was already buying a lot, he would give him a special discount and it would only be 1,500,000 Ryo. Naruto then asked if the manager had said they had 3 in stock. The manager had replied that yes they did, to which Naruto then replied no they didn't and promptly handed over the 7,500,000 Ryo that everything cost. Like I said, when all you buy is ramen, because no one will sell you anything and you get high-level missions, your money tends to stack up. He and Hinata then left the store and went to get some food. Hinata asked if they could have another look in on their way back because she had decided to get an unusual kunai design to try. Naruto had replied that they could if he could buy them for her. Hinata felt a bit guilty for not even letting him know she had an interest in the scythe and so agreed. When they went back, she looked at the place where the scythe had been from the row behind where she picked up some long kunai. Naruto noticed that she had quite a sad look on her face and couldn't wait to see it when he showed her that he hadn't just got her 1 but 3. Flashback mode deactivated. Naruto decided that once he'd finished getting ready, he'd give Hinata one of the scythes and tell her he had 2 more for her. He couldn't wait to see the look on her face when he did. He quickly got a shower and dried himself off. His body was already becoming far more defined than it had been but still remained quite boyish looking. Around 15 minutes after he went into the bathroom, he came out dressed and ready for battle. The clothes he bought were indeed very lightweight and had adapted to him so that the top was tight-fitting on the arms but loose-fitting on the chest and hung down low enough to tuck into the trousers which fitted his waist exactly, and were loose till they reached his ankles where they tightened around his ankles without leaving any part of the cloth folded back on itself. Around his waist he wore the belt with one kunai and one shuriken pouch just above where a pocket would be. One utility pouch was at the start of each ass cheek and the last kunai holster for the belt was right at the back in line with his spine. Most would look at the way he wore the kunai holsters on his legs and think it was strange, but he had thought very carefully and decided that the best setup was to have one on each leg in the same place as the original had been, and then the other sat on each leg upside down just below the knee so that if he had to kneel he could still get quick access to a kunai rather than having to get one out past his upper body, as well as that it took less time to lift his hand to his knee than it did to get it to his thigh. He then walked over to the items that were going to be picked up and taken to Konoha ahead of them and picked up a box around 7.5 feet long, 2 feet wide and 3 inches deep. Hinata was sitting on her bed cross-legged trying to think how she was going to arrange her weapons and equipment in her pouches. She looked up when she saw Naruto approaching. He was standing at the side of her bed holding out a large box. She took it curious as to what was in it. It weighed a considerable amount but not as much as she had first expected. She laid it on her lap and carefully opened it. When she saw the scythe, her jaw dropped. She couldn't believe he had bought it for her. She looked at him speechless. He smiled broadly and genuinely. "I knew you wanted it because you kept going back and spending a long time looking at it. The shop had 3 in stock. They're out of stock now because you own them all," he said, the smile never leaving his face. Hinata looked back at the scythe and picked it up. It instantly shrank to a more suitable size for her. Then she noticed the note in the bottom of the box. It read, "Smear your blood on the skull on the end of each handle and this weapon will be yours alone. It will seek your hand and harm another that would use it. Choose wisely. Once done, it may only have 2 masters at any one time. The second master must put their blood on the skulls along with your own. It will know when a master dies and the new master can only be added by adding their blood to the remaining masters and repeating the process." She did as the instructions said and then placed the scythe by her bed and tackled Naruto to the floor in a hung, nuzzling into the crook of his neck and crying in happiness. After 5 minutes she kneeled up over the top of Naruto and decided that the only way she could really think of to thank him was to kiss him, so she did. She quickly leaned down and kissed him on the lips. After a few moments she pulled back and stood up helping Naruto to his feet. Then she reached over to the box and pulled out the piece of paper and handed it to Naruto. He read through it carefully and understanding replaced the confused look he had gotten when she handed him the paper. "Would I be right in thinking that you want me to be the second master for the scythe?" he asked, to which her reply was a single sharp nod of her head, so he bit his thumb and she did the same. Then just as she had done he followed the instructions and wiped his blood combined with hers on the skulls at the end of the staff. Then he looked at her and a thought seemed to flash through his brain before he spoke again. "So are you going to name any of them?" he asked sincerely. Hinata seemed to contemplate this for a moment before replying. "I think I'll name this one and leave the other 2 unnamed for the moment," she replied. "So do you know what you're going to call it?" he asked. Again Hinata seemed to go into thought at this before coming to a conclusion. "I think I'll call it Owari," she replied happily. Seeing her so happy, Naruto felt the happiest he had ever felt. He almost felt that he wouldn't care if he died right now, but on a second thought realized that he would actually be devastated. He couldn't bear the thought of either not being there to protect her or failing to protect her. He could only just bear the thought of losing her because of old age. For around the next half hour Hinata practiced with the scythe whilst Naruto carefully selected the layout for his weapons and equipment. In his left shuriken holster he had 23-pointed curved shuriken, think Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan, and his right holster held 40 standard shuriken. In his utility pouches he carefully packed some things he thought he might need, including 1 barbed kunai, designed to stick into things so that it could be used to climb up, some high tensile trap wire, but he only took around 25 feet of the 300 feet he bought, and one of the chakra-enhancing kunai. He wasn't sure why, but he had a feeling he would need it. At the end of the half hour there was a knock at the door. Naruto finished putting the last of his kunai in holsters and answered the door while Hinata attached some cord to Owari and then slung it over her back. At the door were the delivery men to take the items to Konoha. They had to be dropped off at the Hyuga's compound because Naruto lived alone, but Naruto had thought ahead to send a small amount of the more selective clothes that he was pretty sure Haishir would kill him for buying for Hinata to the third to keep safe till he came to pick them up. By the time they had finished sorting out the bags it was 7:30 a.m. and they had to meet Jiraiya, Tsunade and Shizune at 8 a.m. for breakfast and finalize how the plan was going to work leading up to the battle. They all knew it wasn't going to be easy and it could potentially cost them their lives, but they also knew that if they could take him out now he would never be a threat again, and it was a risk worth taking, more so for Naruto, Jiraiya and Tsunade. To Naruto he was a threat to his best friend Sasuke. To Jiraiya and Tsunade he was the comrade that betrayed them and nearly cost themselves and their mentor their lives. Hinata knew one thing: Naruto was willing to risk his life for it, and she would risk her life to make sure he succeeded. She knew there was little Naruto would put his life on the line for if he could avoid it, because it would put his dream of being Hokage on the line, so if he was willing to risk it, then so was she. "Anything you want to do whilst we wait, Shinju?" asked Naruto. As soon as he asked her, one thing came to mind, and the thought caused her to blush lightly. "Could we just lie on the bed together?" she asked quietly, though her stutter was now almost completely gone and only surfaced when she was either nervous to just above the point of fainting or scared. However, the blush was almost permanently on her face when she was around Naruto, though it had lessened from the once heavy blush to a light blush. Despite this, her confidence was still low, and Naruto had resolved to do everything he could to increase her confidence. "Of course," replied Naruto, smiling. He had hoped she would want to do that, as he had never felt so comfortable and happy as he did the previous night, and when he awoke to find her in his arms. He then lay down on the bed and opened his arms towards her. She quickly walked over and wrapped her arms around him as he enclosed her in his embrace. But there was something she wanted to hear from him. She had thought she'd seen it in his eyes, but wanted to know for sure, so she gathered up her courage and steadied herself to ask the question. "Naruto, how do you feel about me?" she asked quietly, looking into his eyes. She could see the love, but wanted to be sure it was for her. "I don't really know, in truth. I've never had a mother or father or been shown any emotion other than anger and hatred. All I do know is that when I'm with you, I feel so happy and content. It's a feeling I've never known before in my entire life," he replied, wishing he could give her a better answer, but not really knowing what the answer really was or what he was feeling. "I can tell you what you're feeling, but in return I'd like you to stop referring to me as the Fox or QB. I have a name, you know," said the voice in his head. "Please tell me. If I had known you had a name, I would have called you it sooner," replied Naruto, almost pleading. "Very well, my name is Akihito, the Red Messenger, and as you suspected, the emotion you're feeling is love, but it is pure love capable of lasting a lifetime. If I didn't know that fate isn't predetermined, I would think you two cut from the same stone," said Akihito. "Thank you, Akihito," said Naruto happily. He then decided to give this new information to Hinata. "According to Akihito, it is love. He said that if he didn't know better, he would think we were made for each other," Naruto told Hinata, smiling broadly. On hearing this, Hinata blushed deeply, nuzzled into the crook of Naruto's neck, and started sobbing softly. Naruto got worried when he heard her start crying, thinking he might have said something wrong. He pulled her up and looked at her with a very worried look on his face. Hinata had her head lowered, so he couldn't see the smile on it or the look of pure happiness in her eyes. "What's wrong, Hinata?" he asked worriedly. Hinata quickly jerked her head up and looked him in the eye. She had pulled her hands up to her chest when he had told her he loved her. She heard the worry in his voice and saw the worry plainly across his face. Then she realized. He didn't understand that she was crying in happiness. He had only ever known tears for sadness. "Nothing's wrong. In fact, it couldn't be more right," she said. Naruto got a very confused look on his face. If things couldn't be more right, then why was she crying? She again saw his face and realized he still didn't understand. She threw herself at him, wrapping her arms tightly around his neck. "I love you, Naruto. These tears are from happiness, not sadness," she whispered into his ear.